A biological sister from the same father and mother wants to have your babies every single day, tries every possible way to pin you down daily. And if you refuse, you'll face a whipping of love. She'll even stage a capture operation. Yet the root cause of all this lies entirely in that phone call from your old man. That day, you were eating instant noodles in your dorm when your dad suddenly called. As soon as you picked up, you heard him say seriously, "Son, actually your dad hooked up with a rich woman long ago. I didn't tell you before fearing it would affect your studies. Now I'm laying my cards on the table. You're a rich second-generation heir." Hearing this, you froze on the spot, wondering if something was wrong with your dad's brain. Just as you wanted to press for details, your dad continued, "Right now, your stepmother's daughter is already on her way to pick you up. Pack up your things and get ready to welcome your new life." Having said that, without waiting for you to ask more, he hung up the phone. Before you could even snap out of it, a heavy knocking sound came from outside the door. You quickly put on your shoes and walked forward full of doubts to open the door. The door slowly pulled open. The next second, your pupils dilated. Right before your eyes was a breathtakingly beautiful face, exuding an aura of cold elegance all over. Su Jingyao at the door, seeing you staring blankly at her, directly grabbed your hand and said as she walked downstairs, "Let's go. Don't keep Uncle Lu and my mom waiting too long." Her voice was cold, yet exceptionally pleasing to the ear. It wasn't until you got into the car that you suddenly snapped back to reality. Looking at the goddess beside you who was quietly sizing you up, you couldn't help but ask, "Are you the daughter of Auntie Qin that my dad mentioned?" Hearing this form of address, Su Jingyao frowned and immediately corrected you, "My name is Su Jingyao. From today on, I am your older sister. You have to call me sister from now on. Understand, brat?" You sized her up from head to toe. Without replying right now, you just want to find your dad quickly, to ask clearly what on earth is going on. The Panamera made a few turns in the city and finally stopped in front of a luxury grand hotel. Under the personal reception of the hotel manager, you and Su Jingyao walked into a luxury private room. You sat down by the round table, looking at Auntie Qin opposite you, who was nearly 40, yet still possessed snow-white skin. You couldn't help but speak up. "What on earth did you see in my dad?" As soon as the words left your mouth, Lu Zhengguo, who was sitting next to you wearing a designer casual outfit, had a sudden change in expression. "What are you talking about?" "Xiao Peng, this is your Auntie Qin. You need to mind your manners, understand?" You curled your lips. "Dad, don't flatter yourself. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to this auntie." Your dad's face turned ugly. If it weren't for others being present, you would definitely not escape a good beating. Your mom passed away before you were born, so you spent an exceptionally large amount of time with your dad? The relationship between you two was more like brothers. Hearing your words, Qin Wanru laughed so hard she trembled elegantly, her beautiful eyes fixed on you, as she said with a beaming smile, "You're just like your dad described. Truly an interesting child. From now on, you and Jingjing are siblings, so get along well. I heard from your dad that you just graduated and don't have a job yet, right? It just so happens that Jingjing is the general manager of Yunxiao Group. Have her arrange your employment directly tomorrow." Su Jingyao also turned her head to look at you, with an inexplicably playful look in her smile. "Of course, no problem. Right, my dear brother." The corner of your mouth twitched. Yunxiao Group is a famous big company locally. To become a rich second-generation heir so mind-bogglingly like this, even novels wouldn't dare to write it this way. After a simple dinner, your dad and Qin Wanru, in order to let you and Su Jingyao spend more time together, directly shoved a villa key into your hand, then made an excuse and slipped away first. 3 minutes later, in the luxury private room, you really couldn't stand Su Jingyao's straight, piercing gaze, so you leaned closer to her and asked very cautiously, "Dear sister, have we met before? Why do you keep staring at my face?" Hearing you call her sister, a satisfied expression appeared on Su Jingyao's face. She took out her phone, pulled up a chat log, and placed it on the table. With a playful smile on her lips, "I'm just a bit curious. When you were trading insults with me online, weren't you acting pretty tough? How come you're such a coward now that we meet in reality?" You listened completely dazed, not understanding what she was talking about. You subconsciously glanced at the chat log. This single look almost scared the soul out of you. Back in college, aside from part-time jobs, you were also an online light novel author, writing light novels online to earn royalties. 3 years ago on the internet, you met a user named Yun Zhenwan. She would always leave comments asking why you always wrote such heartbreaking plots. You wanted to delete her comments countless times, but she could always give you great inspiration and could pinpoint the flaws in your novel with precision. Even so, you still thought there was something wrong with her brain. Just like that, for every insult she threw, you replied with 10. This love-hate relationship lasted for 2.5 years. Unsure if the constant bickering sparked feelings, half a month ago, she unexpectedly confessed her love to you against all odds, but you didn't believe in online romance at all, and rejected her straight away. And now that woman you traded insults with for 3 years has actually become your older sister. Seeing that you finally realized it, Su Jingyao stood up with a smile, reached out and ruffled your hair, saying with a half smile, "Bratty brother, didn't you say before that you were going to push me down and rub it in? Why are you staying silent now? How do you think I should punish you?" A chill ran down your spine, thinking about having to live with her from now on. If you chicken out now, how are you going to survive later? Thinking of this, you summoned up your courage, ready to flare up and show your masculine dominance. But just as you were about to stand up, Su Jingyao seemed to see right through your thoughts. Expressionlessly, she reached out and pressed down on your shoulder, directly forcing you back down just as you were trying to stand. My dear brother, I forgot to tell you, I got a Taekwondo black belt before out of boredom. And I also learned self-defense arts from a martial arts coach. You immediately cleared your throat in embarrassment. Sister? I was just joking before. Your little brother offended you, please don't take it to heart. Seeing your attitude shift so quickly, Su Jingyao felt like laughing a little. But on second thought, since it was the first day meeting each other, it was better to tone it down a bit, lest she completely break this bratty brother. Let's go, sister will take you to check out our new home, and buy you a couple of outfits along the way. Going to work at the company looking this shabby won't do. You followed behind her rather reluctantly. Not long after walking out of the hotel, Su Jingyao took you into a designer clothing store, generously buying you several sets of clothes. Compared to your previous cheap street stall clothes, it was a total upgrade, making you look like a brand new person. Sitting in the car, Su Jingyao handed over a black card, bratty brother. This is some pocket money from sister. Spend it as you like. Ask me for more if it's not enough. You only took one look and smiled faintly. Sorry, my teeth are too strong to live off a woman, and I certainly don't accept charity. Keep it for yourself. Oh, really? My mom said she was worried you'd have a lot of expenses right after graduation, so she specifically asked me to give you 1 million as a welcome gift. But looking at it now, it seems I worried for nothing. 1 million. You already cleared your throat twice in your mind, and were just about to grab it when Su Jingyao suddenly pulled her hand back. The urge to tease you popped into her mind. Bratty brother, didn't you just say you don't accept charity? A real man's word is his bond. How can you go back on it? Seeing the 1 million about to fly away, you got anxious and reached out to grab it. Good sister, I was just being polite just now. Quick, give me the card. Thus, the two of you scuffled into a tangled mess. The driver up front heard the commotion, glanced at the rearview mirror, and seeing Su Jingyao laughing so happily, was shocked to his core. The President Su he knew was never someone who smiled so much in the back seat. What kind of magic does this kid have to actually make the cold President Su act like this? On the back seat, after a round of scuffling, you finally snatched the black card from Su Jingyao's hand. With a triumphant smile on your face, but after a brief moment of joy, you realized something was wrong. You were still pressing down on Su Jingyao's body. The two of you were practically pressed tight against each other. Having never had such intimate contact with a girl before, your face instantly flushed red, especially when you accidentally touched her soft skin. Your heart suddenly started pounding rapidly. Just as you were about to get up and escape, Su Jingyao reached out and wrapped her arms around your waist. Leaning her head close to your ear, she whispered, "Bratty brother, your reaction right now is so cute. Could it be that you have some inappropriate thoughts about your sister?" You swallowed hard and quickly pulled away, awkwardly turning your head to look out the window. Who's having thoughts about you? Half an hour later, you arrived at a villa in the Shanghai Grand Court courtyard. Su Jingyao changed into white pajamas and half reclined on the sofa. Her long, fair, and tender legs crossed over each other. The TV was playing the latest anime episode. You had just hung up the phone, glanced at the TV, and asked in confusion, "Did you fast forward while I was on the phone? How come it's almost over?" What do you know? 2 times speed is the best speed for binge watching anime. Are you kidding me? Is 2 times speed even for humans to watch? Quick, give me the remote control. No way, bratty brother. I am your older sister. Boys should yield to girls, understand. Before long, the sounds of the two of you bickering filled the living room. If it were anyone else, you would have given in. But facing this arch rival you had traded insults with for 3 years, there was absolutely no way you would give in. Early the next morning, a beam of warm sunlight shone through the curtains onto your face. You subconsciously raised your hand to block it, drowsily opening your eyes to look at the unfamiliar ceiling. You suddenly sat up. After looking around for a long while, you gave yourself a slap. The pain confirmed that everything yesterday was not a dream. Yawning, you walked over to the wardrobe. You casually took out a suit and changed into it. Today, you have to go to Yunxiao Group for an interview, but you don't actually plan to really work under that bad woman Su Jingyao. The interview is just for show. You intend to purposely perform poorly to get rejected. After walking out of the villa, the driver opened the back door of a Rolls Royce and said respectfully, "Young master, President Su asked me to take you to the company. Please get in." Meanwhile, in the general manager's office on the top floor of Yunxiao Group, Su Jingyao placed your photo on the desk and said in a flat voice, "There are interviews at the group today. Go attend them. The person in this photo is my good-for-nothing brother. No matter what he says, hire him directly." Secretary Zhou, who was standing aside and had been in the corporate world for years, instantly understood President Su's meaning, picked up the photo and said with a smile, "I understand what to do. President Su, if there is nothing else, I'll head down first." After the secretary left, Su Jingyao, who was looking down at her work, curved her lips slightly. "Bratty brother, did you really think I didn't know what kind of sly trick you were planning? Still want to escape from your sister's palms? Maybe in your next life." Soon it was time for the interviews. The meeting room was packed with people. Secretary Zhou sat sharply at the main seat. Her gaze swept across everyone. People began handing in their resumes and starting their self-introductions one after another. They were either from prestigious overseas schools or top-tier domestic universities. Several interviewers nodded in satisfaction, looking at the resumes. They could recruit a batch of good talents this year. Secretary Joe's expression remained unchanged as her fingers kept tapping on the desk, seemingly waiting for something. Finally, everyone finished introducing themselves, leaving only you at the end, a male interviewer asked in confusion. "Where is your resume?" You said smugly, "Don't have that kind of thing. I never bring a resume to interviews." After saying that, a wave of satisfaction surged in your heart. It's been a long time since you acted this arrogant. If they don't reject me for this, it would truly be against the heavens. Just as a female interviewer frowned and was about to scold you, Secretary Joe, however, started clapping and laughed. "Good. Very good. The thinking of a genius is always different from ordinary people, and their way of doing things is unique. What our group lacks is exactly a high-end talent like you." You froze completely on the spot. The other applicants were also too shocked to believe their own ears. Not bringing a resume is called a genius mindset. The interviewers nearby were all shrewd people. Seeing Secretary Joe's attitude, they all understood instantly and quickly clapped their hands in agreement. This string of flatteries left you completely dumbfounded. Without them saying it, you wouldn't even know you were this amazing. Half an hour later, in the general manager's office, Su Jingyao was looking down, focusing on some documents. The office door was suddenly pushed open, and you rushed in with a face full of fury. "Su Jingyao, you set me up. That Secretary Joe was definitely arranged by you, right? Do you want to make life difficult for me that badly?" Being interrupted, Su Jingyao raised her head slightly. A hint of chilliness pierced through her eyes, as a strong sense of pressure emanated from her body. Her cold, older sister voice carried a tone that brooked no refusal. "Call me sister." Being stared at by her, you felt faint-hearted, and weakly called out, "Sister." Only then did Su Jingyao nod in satisfaction. She stood up from behind the office desk, stepped in her high heels to come right in front of you, reached out to pat your head, and said softly, "Sister won't make life difficult for you. Sister will protect you." You curled your lips. "Protect me." More like teasing me. At 11 a.m., you were sitting in front of your workstation computer playing Spider Solitaire. The colleagues around you felt envious in their hearts. After all, you were a well-connected person brought in by Secretary Joe herself. Even if the department manager came by, he could only pretend not to see it. Just then, your phone screen lit up. A message popped up. "There's a dinner gathering tonight. Come with me after work." Seeing the message, you raised your eyebrows. A disdainful smile appeared on your face. You turned off the phone and casually tossed it aside. "You tell me to go and I'll just go. Do you take me for a lapdog?" Noticing the female colleague next to you was stealing glances at you, you turned your head around and generously started chatting with her. Meanwhile, in the general manager's office, Su Jingyao looked at the computer surveillance, gritting her teeth in anger. "That detestable bratty brother. It's one thing not to reply to my messages, but you actually went ahead and flirted with a female colleague. Just wait until after work and see how I deal with you." Finally, it was 5 p.m. time to get off work. You couldn't wait and dashed out of your workstation like an arrow from a bow, running into the elevator with an excited look on your face. But when you walked out of the elevator on the first floor, you spotted the figure you least wanted to see. You turned around about to slip away, but were called to a halt by a voice, "Get back here." You stopped in your tracks and turned around with a bitter face. "Sister, what a coincidence. Do you also like leaving right on the dot?" Su Jingyao walked right up to you, reached out her hand and placed it on your head, saying with a playful smile, "Slacking off at work, flirting with a female colleague, and not replying to my messages. Tell me, how do you want to die?" Before you could argue back, Su Jingyao directly brought you to a luxury hotel. You originally thought you were going to have dinner with Auntie Chin, but after walking into the private room, you found a strange middle-aged man sitting inside, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. He bore a 30% resemblance to Su Jingyao. "Jing, you're here. Quick, have a seat. It's been so long since we last met, and you didn't even think to give your dad a call." Su Hongyuan's strict face softened into a slight smile upon seeing Su Jingyao. As for you standing next to her, he didn't even bother to spare you a glance. Su Jingyao pulled you down to sit opposite her father and introduced him in a low voice, "This is my dad." Your expression remained unchanged, but your heart was filled with immense shock. Through your gold-digging old man, you knew a few things about the Su family. But why on earth did Su Jingyao bring you here to meet her dad? After a long while, you perked up your ears to listen for a bit, and finally understood why Su Jingyao's parents got a divorce. For the sake of his career and interests, her dad had left their mother-daughter duo since she was a child to go abroad. Coming back now, he wanted to take Su Jingyao abroad for further development. 10 minutes later, seeing that persuasion was hopeless, Su Hongyuan sighed heavily, stood up and walked out of the private room. After Su Hongyuan left, just as you were wondering whether you should comfort Su Jingyao, only to see him with the corners of his eyes flushed red pounce right over, bearing her head into your embrace and letting out choked sobs. You finally understood why she brought you along. It was precisely so that at a time like this, she could have someone to confide in, stripping away her cold exterior. you realized just how fragile her inner heart was. Fragile to the point where a few words from her father could cause her emotions to completely collapse. But what you didn't know was how much Su Jingyao depended on you. As early as 3 years ago, Su Jingyao was nowhere near as cheerful as she is now. She had been living constantly in the torment of her parents' divorce until by a stroke of chance, she came across the light novel you wrote. The fictional world you created was beautiful, and love was beautiful too. She longed to obtain the kind of love you described, the kind that could heal everything. A pure love. A peaceful night passed by. On the weekend morning, Su Jingyao opened her eyes and saw the familiar ceiling. Feeling a bit dazed, last night's memories flooded back into her mind. In the end, it seemed you carried her back on your back after she fell asleep. Thinking of this, she quickly got up, looked down at her own clothes, and a look of disappointment surfaced in her eyes. For the first time, she began to doubt her own charm, suspecting more and more that you might be a beta. After the disappointment passed, Su Jingyao got out of bed to change her clothes. She held herself to strict standards and would work even on weekends. By the time you woke up, it was already 12 p.m. noon. After washing up, you sat on the sofa scrolling through videos. Time quickly flew by to 4 p.m. Just then, your bro Gufei called Old Chen. Where are you? We have a class reunion tonight. You didn't forget, did you? You smacked your head. Too many things had happened these past 2 days. You really forgot? But luckily there was still time. I'll head over right away. Hanging up the phone, you went back to your room to pack up briefly, then picked up the Maserati key on the table and headed out the door. About half an hour later, outside the rundown residential complex, Gufei with bandages wrapped around his head acted like a curious baby, touching everything here and there inside the car. Holy crap, you've really struck it rich, kid. You're even driving a Maserati now. Seeing the bandages on his head, you couldn't help but ask what happened to your head. Who beat you up? Mentioning the injury on his head, Gufei started sighing and groaning, seemingly remembering something unpleasant. Ever since you sent that WeChat message telling me about your dad, I went back home. But no matter how I asked, my dad refused to admit that he had hooked up with a sugar mommy. In the end, my mom overheard it, and the two of them chased me down for 8 blocks. You silently gave him a thumbs up. Meanwhile, inside the Grand Courtyard Villa, Su Jingyao, who rushed back right after finishing her work, originally wanted to tease you to recharge her energy, but ended up seeing only a total mess on the coffee table. She pulled up the living room surveillance footage and found the recording of you heading out in the afternoon. The corner of her mouth curved slightly without her realizing it. As she picked up her keys and walked out, bratty brother, going out for a gathering without even telling your sister. Just wait and see if I don't give you a massive surprise. On the other side, inside the hotel private room, the table was fully set with dishes. The aroma was mouth-watering, making everyone's appetite build up. Just as everyone was getting ready to eat, the door of the private room opened. Sorry about that, everyone. There was a traffic jam on the road, so I'm a bit late. A guy wearing a designer suit and holding a bunch of roses walked into the private room with glasses on. With a smile on his face, he intentionally yet casually showed off the luxury watch on his wrist. Beside you, Gufei explained in a low voice, see that? This guy's family got over 5 million in compensation from demolition. He was just bragging in the class group chat the day before yesterday, posting over a dozen moments on WeChat to show off, acting incredibly pretentious. While the two of you were talking, Dan Ziming had already walked up to the school beauty Ye Qingxiao, holding the roses with a sincere look and a face full of affectionate smiles. Qingxiao, these are the most beautiful roses I specially bought for you, to match the most beautiful person in my heart, to go with the most beautiful person in my heart. Opening his mouth with greasy love lines, making the other classmates get goosebumps. The next second, Ye Qingxiao took the roses sent by Fan Ziming. A sweet smile appeared on her fair face. Then she turned her body to look in your direction. With a winner's smile on her face and mockery in her eyes, everyone present knew that you pursued Ye Qingxiao for 3 years during college, but she had been leading you on all along. Now she actually accepted another guy's roses? If it were them, they'd probably feel like dying. But they didn't know that when you were rejected after your confession back in college, you no longer had any illusions about Ye Qingxiao. You let out a sigh and prepared to get up and leave. Suddenly, a familiar laugh came from outside the private room. So lively. Are you all Xiaopeng's classmates? Hello, everyone. You don't mind adding one more person, right? Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and widened their eyes almost simultaneously. Why are you here? You suddenly stood up and looked at Su Jingyao, who was walking in from the door. Amid everyone's dumbfounded expressions, Su Jingyao gracefully linked her arm through yours, swept her gaze across the crowd, and after letting her eyes linger on Ye Qingxiao for 2 extra seconds, she said with a beaming smile, let me introduce myself. I'm Xiaopeng's older sister. Thank you for taking care of him before. Take care of my foot. Let go of me quickly, you female hooligan. Your face flushed red. Completely unexpected that Su Jingyao would be so bold. You wanted to retract your arm but were firmly held by Su Jingyao. Looking at their actions that seemed to go beyond sibling boundaries, someone asked blankly, are you two really brother and sister? How come I feel like hearing this? The smile on Su Jingyao's face grew even thicker. As she calmly chuckled, well, maybe it's because I have a brother complex. After all, having such a cute little brother, who wouldn't feel their heart flutter? The crowd went into an uproar, looking at you with eyes full of envy. Yet King Xiao's face turned extremely ugly. Just as the atmosphere in the room felt off, you pulled Su Jingyao and walked out of the private room. On a night with a hazy moon, the blue Maserati traveled down the quiet street you were driving, while Su Jingyao sat in the passenger seat admiring the night view. She wasn't originally someone who liked to waste time on looking at scenery, but for some unknown reason, when she was with you, those meaningless things seemed to become meaningful. A few minutes later, you spoke up. I've always had a doubt. Why are you so good to me? Su Jingyao retracted her gaze from outside the window, staring straight at you driving as she replied, probably because the moon is beautiful tonight. You showed a speechless expression. If you don't want to say it, just don't say it. Why make up such a ridiculous line? The fog is so thick tonight. Where's the moon? This sentence completely shattered the anticipation in Su Jingyao's heart. Her smiling face instantly turned dark as she snapped at you in annoyance. Bratty brother, you totally deserve to be single. With you being like this and still wanting to find a girlfriend, any woman who fancies you must definitely be blind. The next day, while slacking off as usual, you received a call from an unknown number. A steady male voice came from the other end, carrying a commanding tone. I am Su Jingyao's father, Su Hongyuan. I want to talk to you about something. Tonight at 8 o'clock. Itsuag. Without waiting for him to finish, you casually hung up the phone, curling your lips. You tell me to go and I'll just go. Something's wrong with you. After saying that, you put the phone aside and kept scrolling, looking intently at the pretty girls on Douyin. At the same time, inside the chairman's office of Shanghai Tianmao Group, Su Hongyuan looked at the hung-up phone with a gloomy face. After a long while, he dialed another number. Number 2. Find an opportunity to bring that kid named Lu Chen over. Be careful not to let Jing Jing find out. The phone call disconnected. Su Hongyuan stood up and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window. Looking down at the city from high above, he let out a heavy sigh. Jing Jing, why can't you just understand? Everything your dad does is all to let you step onto a broader stage. Only by following me will your upper limit be higher. Time quickly transitioned into the night. The bustling city of Shanghai was once again shrouded in darkness. At this time, outside the Chengming Villa district, a Porsche slowly drove in. You sat in the passenger seat, looking at the internationalized single-family villas around you, exclaiming in awe, the villas in here must cost a lot of money, right? Rich people really know how to enjoy life. Not that much. About 100 million. Su Jingyao, who was driving, replied flatly. Soon the car stopped in front of a European-American-style villa. Hearing the commotion, Lu Zhengguo pushed open the door, walked out, and smiled. You're all here, hurry on in. Tonight, Lanlin is personally cooking. You don't usually get to eat her cooking. Hearing that her own mom was cooking, Su Jingyao's expression became a bit unnatural. She gave Lu Zhengguo a deep look. The latter looked back at her the same way. The two exchanged a look of mutual understanding without saying much. After entering the villa, Qin Wanru was still in the kitchen preparing the big feast. Su Jingyao brought you to a room on the second floor and said flatly, this room was specially prepared for you. As she spoke, the door opened. It wasn't as luxurious or spacious as you imagined. There was only a single bed inside the bedroom. Without even a blanket, it was as bare bones as it could get. Even you, who had no high standards for sleeping, couldn't help but feel disappointed. This isn't even as good as my rented room. The corner of Su Jingyao's mouth curled into a subtle arc, leaning in from behind close to your ear. Her sexy body was practically pressed against yours. Feeling the soft and warm touch against your back, your eyes instantly widened and your body stiffened up. Su Jingyao's soft and alluring voice echoed by your ear. What? Could it be that you want to sleep in the same room with your sister? If you're not afraid of being eaten alive, it's not completely out of the question, you know. These words made your face flush red. Inescapable scenes that shouldn't appear popped up in your mind. You hurriedly shook your head. I'm warning you. We are in a brother and sister relationship. Can you mind your words a little? Looking at your cute reaction, Su Jingyao smiled faintly, turned around and walked downstairs. Without turning her head, she said, my room is right next door. There should be extra blankets in the closet. You can go grab them to make your bed. If you catch a cold from the freezing weather, your sister will be heartbroken. You stared at her retreating figure walking downstairs with gritted teeth, not understanding why this woman always loved to tease you. You went to the room next door, turned on the light, and pushed the door open to walk in. But in the next second, the scene before your eyes left you dazed again. Isn't this her home? How come her room is also so bare bones? By the time you finished making your bed and went downstairs, Qin Wanru, wearing an apron, happened to walk out of the kitchen, holding a plate of braised pork in her hands. The color was enticing and the aroma was mouth-watering. You almost drooled. Just as you sat at the dining table, getting ready to enjoy the delicious meal, Lu Zhengguo and Su Jingyao exchanged a glance. One walked towards the restroom, while the other turned around to head upstairs. My stomach suddenly hurts a bit. You guys eat first. I'm going to the restroom. This dish just came out of the pot and it's too hot. I'll go upstairs to take a shower first. Little brother, it's rare for my mom to cook a meal, so you must eat more. This is a flavor that will leave a deep impression on you after eating. In an instant, only you and Qin Wanru were left in the living room. You found their behavior strange. but didn't think too much of it. You picked up your chopsticks, grabbed a piece of braised rib, and took a big bite of the meat. After chewing twice, your face instantly changed on the spot and your movements came to a halt. A salty and bitter taste spread throughout your mouth, just like eating raw tea leaves. Xiaopeng, what's wrong? Does the food auntie made not suit your taste? Looking at Qin Wanru's concerned eyes, you bit the bullet and swallowed it down, forcing an unnatural smile onto your face. No, it's nothing. The dishes auntie made are simply too delicious. At this moment, you finally knew why those two individuals ran away so fast. In your heart, you gritted your teeth in anger. Su Jingyao, you bad woman. So this is the deeply impressive dish you were talking about. And that bastard dad of mine, knowing about this situation but not giving a heads up beforehand. What a scam. By the time you finished eating all the food on the table, only then did Lu Zhengguo come out of the restroom and give you a thumbs up. Not long after walking out of the villa, he turned back around, holding 2 orders of takeout in his hand. After handing one to Su Jingyao, the two of them just started eating right in front of your face. You naturally understood, which brought about a wave of complaints from Qin Wanru. That night, you ran to the restroom over a dozen times, and by the time you returned to your room at dawn, you were already near collapse. Early the next morning, the person resisting going to work due to diarrhea all night was dragged into the car along with the blanket by Su Jingyao. You wanted to cry but had no tears. You're clearly already a rich second-generation heir. So why on earth do you still have to go to work every day? What's the difference between this and being a corporate slave faced with your complaints? Su Jingyao stuffed her half-eaten sandwich right into your mouth, looking at the half-eaten sandwich in your hand, with her saliva still on it. You couldn't help but look conflicted. Your first reaction was to throw it away, but thinking about how it was eaten by Su Jingyao, you hesitated again. This counts as an indirect kiss, right? Facing such a goddess of a sister who descended from heaven? It would definitely be a lie to say you weren't attracted. But you two are in a brother and sister relationship now. It's a blessing but also a tragedy. In the morning, at the workstation of the planning department's 3rd group, you lay on the desk with a hollow gaze. The other colleagues stole curious glances at you. Usually you're the most energetic when it comes to slacking off, but now you're actually completely drained. Could it be that you did it too many times last night? Meanwhile, in the president's office on the other side, Su Jingyao rested her chin on her hand contemplating something. After a long while, she spoke up. Secretary Zhou, have you ever been in a relationship? This sudden and unexpected question caught Secretary Zhou completely off guard. Her first reaction was that something was wrong with her ears. This President Lu, who is colder than an iceberg, would actually ask a question about love. Secretary Zhou hesitated for a moment, her brain working at lightning speed. Leaning closer to Su Jingyao and lowering her voice, she tentatively asked, do you mean the same sex or the opposite sex? She had been by Su Jingyao's side for 2 years. In the beginning, there were wealthy playboys pursuing her. But ever since Su Jingyao ended one of them's bloodline permanently, no one dared to pursue her anymore. Could it be that the one President Su fancied was herself? Thinking up to this point, Secretary Zhou couldn't help but take 2 steps back, feeling a bit frightened. President Su, I already have a boyfriend. It really won't work. Su Jingyao gave her a speechless look and said flatly, I meant men. Only then did Secretary Zhou breathe a sigh of relief, leaning in close to Su Jingyao and speaking in a low voice. To be able to guide President Su in romance was a flex she could brag about for the rest of her life. But as a massive amount of information flooded into Su Jingyao's brain, she nodded half comprehendingly, deciding to try out what Secretary Zhou said on you. If possible, she didn't want to take the initiative either. But you are such a blockhead. She clearly dropped hints several times, yet you showed absolutely no reaction. At the same time, inside a coffee shop in Shanghai, Gufei sat together with 2 men in black uniforms. One of them took out a thick stack of red banknotes from his pocket, roughly estimated to be 20,000, just laying it casually on the table like that, saying flatly, as long as you help us call Xiaopeng out, this money is yours. You don't need to worry that we'll harm him. It's just that our boss wants to talk to him about Miss Su's matters. As a father, it's quite normal to worry about his daughter, right? Gufei sized up the 2 individuals. He was originally just going to the supermarket to buy tissues. But right after stepping out, he was brought here by these 2 who claimed to be people under Su Jingyao's father. Who do you take me, Gufei, for? Does yours truly look like someone who sells out his brothers? Who is Xiaopeng? He's my freaking brother. Do you think that tiny bit of filthy money can make me betray my best brother? Before he could finish his sentence, the other person took out another stack of banknotes from his pocket and placed it on the table. Seeing this, Gufei coughed twice. I can perfectly understand the feelings of a father worrying about his daughter. As he spoke, he took out his phone, found your number, and dialed it. Before long, the call went through. Old Chen, that video you asked me to look for. I finally managed to get it from a friend after a lot of trouble. I've sent you the location. Come over right now. As he spoke, he hung up the phone before you could even reply. Under the speechless expressions of the 2 men, Gufei showed a smug look and said with a smile, if there's another job like this next time, just look for me. I'll give you a discount. Half an hour later, you having secretly sneaked out of the company, just as you walked out of the company's main entrance, were kidnapped by some people and forced into a van. The van sped along the road. Inside the vehicle, you struggled desperately but to no avail, looking at the two men in black inside the car with panicked eyes. The car soon drove into the underground parking lot of a building. This was exactly the headquarters of Tianmao Group. A few minutes later, inside the chairman's office, "Kid, you've got a lot of nerve, huh? How dare you hang up my phone call?" Su Hongyuan reclined in his executive chair. Looking at the person being held by two security guards, he took out a cigar from the cabinet, clipped the tip, and lit it up. With an expressionless face, you opened your mouth and said, "Let me lay down the words first. What you're doing is breaking the law." Guess what would happen if Su Jingyao knew you did this? Do you think she would storm over right away? Su Hongyuan ignored your words, stood up, walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, and looked down. With his back facing you towards the bustling city, he said flatly, "From the moment Jingjing brought you to meet me, I knew you occupied an important position in her heart. So this time I acted very covertly. Kid, I'm warning you, the two of you are destined not to be from the same world. You will only drag her down. Leave my daughter, and I'll give you 5 million. Hearing this, you finally understood. Turns out he thought you and Su Jingyao had hooked up. Little did he know, you and her only shared a 3-year ill-fated online relationship, but you were exceptionally clear in your heart about Su Jingyao's kindness towards you. So the next second, you directly pointed at Su Hongyuan's nose and said, "Before telling me to come over, you should have looked into me more thoroughly." Do you know how bitterly she cried? After you left that day, money can buy a lot of things, but it absolutely cannot buy love, because you spoke too quickly. Your chest rose and fell violently, but your expression was exceptionally firm, showing absolutely no regret for your actions. Su Hongyuan's face instantly turned gloomy. Having been in the business world of Shanghai for so many years, he had never been insulted like this with someone pointing at his nose. Before he could say anything, you let out a cold snort, turned around, and walked out of the office. Seeing that their boss didn't say anything, the two security guards didn't stop you and stepped back. Soon, only Su Hongyuan was left in the huge office. Right at this moment, the small compartment door inside the office opened, and a beautiful figure walked out. It was none other than Su Jingyao. Every word you just said had been heard by her crystal clear from right next door. Su Hongyuan felt a bit of regret in his heart. Had he known it would turn out like this, he shouldn't have let Su Jingyao come over. He originally thought you would immediately abandon Su Jingyao for money, but didn't expect it to turn into the current situation. I told you a long time ago, he is fundamentally different from you. So, please stop interfering with my life in the future. Leaving these words behind, Su Jingyao also turned around and walked out of the office. On the other side, you who had just walked out of Tianmao Group were just about to hail a taxi to go back to the company and continue slacking off. Suddenly, a Rolls-Royce drove up from behind and stopped right beside you. The driver's side window rolled down, and to your surprise, the person who arrived was actually your stepmother, Qin Wanru. Oh, Xiaopeng, what a coincidence. Perfect timing. Auntie is planning to make something delicious for you and Jingjing tonight. If you're not busy, come to the supermarket with Auntie to buy some groceries. Hearing that Qin Wanru was going to cook a big feast again tonight, your face instantly changed as you smiled politely and said, you see, actually I was just planning to head back home to rest, and tonight I might, if you don't go. I'll just tell Jingjing that you snuck out during work hours. Guess how she will punish you. Hearing this, you let out a sigh, forcing out a smile. Actually, buying groceries is my absolute favorite thing to do. In the end, you were still forced to get into your stepmother's car. Sitting in the passenger seat of the Rolls-Royce, while comforting your stomach in your heart, you silently shed tears. With a roar from the Rolls-Royce, it drove towards the nearest fresh food supermarket. But a few minutes later, you realized the car had unknowingly arrived downstairs at the Yunqiao Group building. Right at this moment, Qin Wanru parked the car by the roadside, turned her head, chuckled softly, and said, "All right, Xiaopeng. As for dinner, you should still eat with Jingjing. Your dad and I are going out for a trip these next 2 days. Of course, if you want to eat my cooking, Auntie can." You got out of the car without any hesitation. "Auntie, no need. Thank you." Saying that, you fled towards the company. But never in your wildest dreams did you expect that the moment you stepped into the company's main entrance, Su Jingyao was already standing by the elevator, seeing you. You had no choice but to follow her into the general manager's office with a bitter face. Inside the office, Su Jingyao sat back in her chair, a trace of coldness appearing on her glamorous face, looking like a judge sentencing a criminal. "Speak up, my dear little brother. It's fine that you usually slack off at work, but why did you dare to sneak out this time?" You stood there trembling. "It's too embarrassing. Can I choose not to say it? I'll give you 3 seconds to consider. Once the time is up, if you don't speak, starting from tomorrow, you'll be going to clean the toilets." At this moment, your hatred for Gufei scaled up once again in your heart. If it weren't for this guy tempting you with that kind of adult-rated video disc, it wouldn't have led to this current situation. But you still gritted your teeth and blurted out the truth. Hearing that it was actually such a vulgar reason, even Su Jingyao couldn't help but feel speechless in her heart. Is her own charm not enough? Why did this bratty brother still want to go out and watch adult videos? She stood up and walked toward you. Since that's the case, then your punishment is to go shopping with me tomorrow. If you dare to refuse, you're dead meat. Just then, Secretary Joe walked in, and seeing the scene, she couldn't help but ask in confusion, President Liu, didn't you just go out? How did you get back so fast? Hearing this, you instantly widened your eyes and roared in anger. Holy crap! Didn't you also sneak out? Why am I the only one being punished? I refuse to accept this. I want to protest. Su Jingyao rested her chin on her hand and thought for a moment. Fine then, the punishment will be me going shopping with you. You started cursing like crazy in your mind. What a slick move. Women really are completely unreasonable creatures. At night, you tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep, thinking about how you were threatened by Su Jingyao during the day and ended up blurting out the matter about you and your brother watching adult movies. She had, even who knows from where, saved the chat records between you and your brother. The more you thought about it, the angrier you got, and you finally plucked up the courage to quietly walk out of your room, walking along the corner to the outside of Su Jingyao's room, pressing your ear against the door. After confirming there was no movement inside, you grabbed the doorknob with an excited heart. If it were before secretly breaking into a girl's room was something you definitely wouldn't do, but thinking about how Boss Su had your dark history on her phone, you still summoned up your courage. The room door opened. You tiptoed and walked inside silently. The curtains were drawn. The air was filled with a delicate fragrance unique to women. A figure was lying quietly on the bed. A section of smooth and delicate calf was exposed beneath the blanket, making you unable to resist taking a few extra glances. Immediately after, you shook your head and averted your gaze, stepping forward to cover Su Jingyao's leg with the blanket. Looking around the room for a circle, you successfully on the nightstand found the phone that was currently charging. After turning it on, after confirming there was no sound inside, seeing this, you had no choice but to pluck up your courage and come to the other side of the bed. Looking at Su Jingyao sleeping with her eyes closed on the bed, you tremblingly reached out your hand, just as you were about to press Su Jingyao's hand onto the screen. Unexpectedly, the latter suddenly grabbed your wrist and pulled you, who was leaning by the bed, right into her embrace. Before you could even react, those long legs wrapped directly around your waist. Then, you heard Su Jingyao's murmur coming from by your ear. Scumbag, you're mine. Hearing this, you, whose heart had leaped into your throat, breathed a sigh of relief. Turns out, she was just dreaming. But what did scumbag mean? Could it be that this woman already has a boyfriend? Well, it's only normal, considering she is so beautiful. There must be plenty of people pursuing her, but for some unknown reason, you actually felt a bit disappointed in your heart. With no time to think further, you quickly pressed Su Jingyao's hand onto the screen. After unlocking it and deleting the photos, you broke free from Su Jingyao's embrace, placed the phone back in its original position, and quietly walked out of the room. Inside the pitch-black room, Su Jingyao lay on the bed, her pretty face flushing slightly red. Early the next morning, as the sky was just turning bright, the sound of cicadas came from outside the window. By the time Su Jingyao came out of her room, you dressed in an apron and happened to walk out holding a pot of porridge. Naturally greeting her, "You're awake? Hurry over and have breakfast." Su Jingyao walked to the dining table and sat down. Watching you scoop the porridge into a bowl, her face revealed a charming smile. "Bratty brother, don't you think it's strange? When I woke up from my sleep, the photos in my phone were actually completely deleted. Who do you think could have done it?" Hearing this, your heart skipped a beat. Fortunately, you had already prepared yourself mentally. Your expression remained unchanged as you replied, "I don't know. Maybe it was hacked by a hacker." Hackers nowadays are incredibly powerful. They can easily hack into someone's phone at any time and do some shady business. Hearing this, the smile on Su Jingyao's face grew even thicker. Without exposing your acting performance, after finishing breakfast, the two of you changed clothes and headed out of the door. To avoid being stared at like monkeys in a zoo, Su Jingyao selected a domestic car from the garage worth just over 100,000 yuan. Since it wasn't a holiday, there was almost no traffic jam along the way. Very soon, the two of you drove to Shanghai's largest Fuyin shopping mall and walked inside the mall. With a lazy expression, you curled your lips. "What do you want to buy? Let's agree on this first. If you buy a massive pile of things again, I am absolutely not carrying them for you." Hearing this, Su Jingyao raised her hand to smack your head and snorted coldly. "So many people want to carry things for me, but never get the chance. Yet you, bratty brother, actually dare to complain. You totally deserve to be single." Hearing her say that, you instantly felt displeased. "You have the nerve to talk about me. You're 2 years older than me. Aren't you a single dog too? If you don't find someone to marry soon, watch out or you'll become an old leftover woman. Let's see who would dare to take you in." The moment these words came out, the atmosphere suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. Then your shrill and miserable scream echoed throughout the shopping mall. After a short while, Su Jingyao walked into a lipstick shop. Behind her, your gaze was full of resentment, as you followed while rubbing your butt. "Miss, are you looking for lipsticks? We have several shades here that are extremely popular on the market right now. And this one here is our latest release." The female clerk smiled. As she took out an exquisitely packaged lipstick from the counter, Su Jingyao looked at the nearly 100 types of lipsticks in the display case and began to make her selection. While you sat by the entrance and picked up your phone to send a message to Goofy, damn it, you actually dared to team up with outsiders to set me up. How do you want to die this time? The other party's message replied within seconds. All right. Don't I know you well enough? How about this? Tomorrow I'll treat you to a massage. Going straight for the highest package. Gotta go, the supervisor is coming. Talk to you later. You were hit by a wave of speechlessness. This guy. Every time something like this happens, he just brushes it off with a few casual words. Right after you put down your phone, Su Jingyao walked over to you holding a lipstick. She blinked and asked, "How is it? Does this shade suit me?" You got up and took a careful look, then held back a laugh and shook your head. You're just not cut out for wearing lipstick, so forget it. Given Su Jingyao's appearance, even without any of these things to decorate her, she was second to none. Seeing you holding back a laugh, Su Jingyao lost her mood to pick one out. After returning the lipstick to the clerk, she directly rolled up her non-existent sleeves and walked toward you. How dare you mock your sister, bratty brother. You really need to be taught a lesson. Seeing Su Jingyao walking over with a menacing look, the smile on your face gradually disappeared, replaced step by step by pure terror. Afterward, as expected, you were given a good lesson, and then you were dragged around the mall by Su Jingyao for an entire day, before completely breaking free. You really didn't know which unlucky man in the future would be caught by this bad woman's eyes. If you were dragged out shopping every single day, just thinking about it felt terrifying. But the next day, the moment Su Jingyao opened her eyes, she saw that on her nightstand, there was a beautifully packaged lipstick sitting quietly. It was exactly the one she had shown you yesterday. She instantly felt a pleasant surprise. A single lipstick wasn't enough to make her this happy. But the key point was that this lipstick was bought for her by you. Su Jingyao sat down at the vanity to apply the lipstick, pursing her ruby lips. Her exquisite face carried a joy that couldn't be hidden. This guy isn't such a total blockhead after all. At 9 a.m., the atmosphere inside the planning department room was tense. The results of the meeting mattered to whether they could get premium projects next month to earn more commissions. Meanwhile, you had a relaxed face leisurely scrolling through videos in the corner. Very soon, the crisp sound of high heels clicking came from outside the office. Immediately following that, the office door opened, and Su Jingyao stepped in along with the crowd of senior executives. At this moment, she did not have the little girl attitude that she displayed in front of you. Just those cold eyes alone gave the employees present an immense sense of pressure. Su Jingyao walked to the center main seat and sat down. Looking around the meeting room, her gaze lingered on you for 2 extra seconds before she spoke flatly. "Since everyone is here, let's get started. I hope the proposals you bring out won't disappoint me." As soon as these words were spoken, a cold sweat broke out on everyone's backs. In the entire meeting room, you were probably the only one not intimidated by that powerful aura of pressure on Su Jingyao. First up was Planning Group 1, a skinny guy, wearing glasses with heavy dark circles under his eyes, walked to the front of the large screen. Taking a tense deep breath, he slowly opened his mouth. A few minutes later, listening to the glasses guy blabbering on and on, he let out a drowsy yawn. In the next second, a freezing gaze shot directly toward you, scaring you into quickly straightening your back. Seeing this, only then did Su Jingyao nod in satisfaction. As the first 2 groups finished their reports, finally it was Group 3's turn, which was your group. You lazily stood up and walked to the front of the large screen, facing the proposal given by your group leader. You started reading it out rigidly word for word. There were absolutely no highlights, but down below, Su Jingyao had a very serious look on her face. Before long, you finished speaking and stepped down from the stage. The senior executives all shook their heads and sighed. The proposals from the other 2 groups were at least bearable to listen to, but your group's proposal was truly impossible to sit through. Just as the senior executives were about to voice their evaluations of you, Su Jingyao unexpectedly started clapping her hands formally, saying with a calm face, "Xiaopeng spoke quite well, and the proposal is also well done." The moment these words came out, the meeting room suddenly felt deathly quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone had a look of disbelief on their faces. A proposal that was clearly patched together from random pieces? How could this be called well done? The senior executives exchanged glances, a sharp gleam flashing in their eyes. One after another, they reacted swiftly, clapping their hands and applauding, with brilliant smiles piling up on their faces. A brilliant smile piled up on his face, praising Group 3's proposal this time is indeed quite good. This young man has great potential talent. Looks like our group is about to gain another powerhouse. I think this proposal is feasible, and suggest passing it directly. The remaining people looked at each other, their brains still in a complete daze, but their bodies already cooperating by clapping. After the meeting dismissed, you couldn't wait to walk out of the meeting room, returning to your workstation at the fastest speed, and turning on the computer to play a newly released show. Just as Su Jingyao returned to her office and sat down, Secretary Zhou, who followed her inside holding documents, smiled and said, "President Liu, you shouldn't be giving young Master Liu special treatment just because he's your brother, right?" To this, Su Jingyao only replied with 4 words, "Complacent soldiers bound to lose." If Group 1 always gets all the benefits over the long term, then the remaining two groups will lose their desire to compete, which is detrimental to the motivation of the other employees. The busy day quickly came to an end. At the entrance of the company building, a Porsche was parked there quietly. After a long while, the driver walked back, and after getting into the car, cautiously said to Su Jingyao in the back seat, "President Lu Young, Master Lu said he has serious business to attend to tonight, and might return a bit late." Su Jingyao nodded her head. Meanwhile, on the other side, at the entrance of Jingxiu Massage City, two female greeters wearing red cheongsams and black high heels were currently greeting the passersby. Soon a taxi stopped right in front of the door, and you got out of the car, looking at the massage city in front of you. And then looking at Gufei beside you, you asked suspiciously, "Are you sure this is a legit massage parlor?" "Let me tell you, kid, I'm just a bit tired these past few days and want to get a massage to relax." "Don't you dare set me up with any sketchy stuff," Gufei said seriously. "Rest assured, bro, I guarantee it's legit." You and him walked toward the massage city. Under the guidance of a young lady, after paying the money, you walked to the front of one of the rooms. Just as you were about to go inside, you suddenly heard a loud shout coming from the counter area. "Don't move! Police anti-vice raid, everyone squat down for me. Police anti-vice raid, everyone squat down." Half an hour later, inside and then outside the entrance of the Shanghai police station, Su Jingyao, wearing pajamas, wrapped in a large black coat on the outside, led you as she walked out. "So this is the serious business you were talking about. You really are my dear little brother. You've truly made your sister proud." Her cold voice mixed with the chilly wind entered your ears. You kept your head down, not daring to say a word. You originally thought that having grown up so big without ever experiencing a massage, you just wanted to go give it a try. In the end, you didn't expect to get busted before things even started. The most critical part was letting this bad woman Su Jingyao find out about it. Now your reputation is completely ruined. On the car ride back home, the two of you sat in the back seat quietly. Neither of you spoke again, and the atmosphere gradually became depressing, making it a bit hard for you to breathe. Before long, the car drove into the Haoting Bieyuan Villa district, traveling forward another short distance before stopping at the house entrance. Feeling nervous in your heart, you slowly procrastinated getting out of the car. Pushing open the door, you walked into the brightly lit living room. Because the air conditioning was on, the temperature inside the house was clearly much higher. Su Jingyao directly took off the large black coat she was wearing, turned around and said flatly to you, "Go lie face down on the sofa." You subconsciously shrank your neck, asking in a low voice, "What do you want to do?" Su Jingyao glanced at you. She couldn't help but want to laugh in her heart given this bratty brother's courage. He gets nervous just seeing her, so how could he dare to do that kind of thing? Yesterday, she gave him a chance, but it was useless. He's a textbook example of having the desires but lacking the guts. She patiently explained, "Didn't you want a massage? I learned a bit of it before. Considering you are my bratty brother, I'll make an exception and give you a massage today." Hearing these words, you walked over to the sofa half believing her and lay face down, bearing your face downward. Then while Su Jingyao was giving you a massage, she said softly, "If you truly feel tired, you don't absolutely have to sit there for a full 8 hours. If you really can't hold on, just go to my office to lie down and rest for a while. Just don't let the other employees see you, so it won't cause a bad impression." You couldn't help but ask, "Are you an angel? In this world, I guess only an angel would treat me this well." Su Jingyao, who was giving you the massage, suddenly broke into a charming smile on her cold and glamorous face. She couldn't resist leaning her head close to your ear, breathing like orchids as she said, "Yeah, but this is an angel that belongs only to you. What is your heart fluttering for your sister? The phrase belongs only to you," she emphasized with particular weight. The tips of your ears instantly turned burning hot, and you muttered in your heart that this woman was teasing you again, deliberately saying things that would cause misunderstandings. Seeing your shy appearance, the smile on Su Jingyao's face grew even thicker, and she couldn't help but gently hug you from behind. You instantly panicked, asking stutteringly, What are you trying to do? Such an intimate move is way too out of line, right? Don't move, let me hold you for a while." Su Jingyao's voice softened up a bit. A sister wanting to hug her own little brother, that's perfectly normal, right? "Who told me to be a brother con?" You didn't dare to speak another word. Your face so hot it was about to start smoking. After a good long while, only then did Su Jingyao let go of you, turning around to walk toward her room upstairs, without saying another single word. You felt a bit of regret in your heart, but quickly suppressed that thought, silently chanting to yourself, "She is my sister. Doing this is just her doting on her brother. I absolutely cannot have any inappropriate thoughts about her." But you didn't notice that. Su Jingyao, whose back was turned to you as she walked upstairs, had her pretty face completely blushed red long ago. The moment she thought about that risky move just now, her footsteps heading upstairs couldn't help but speed up. Fortunately, she didn't lose control just now. Otherwise, her secret would have been exposed. The next morning, because of what happened last night, Su Jingyao didn't sleep well all night. The two of you simply took a day off altogether. Inside the living room, Su Jingyao, wearing shorts, lay on the sofa watching a movie, while you were forced to lie on her lap although you shouted forced in your heart. To be honest, your sister's legs were both fragrant and supple. Some single dogs out there might never get to experience this kind of treatment in their entire lives. Su Jingyao's attention wasn't on the movie at all, but rather entirely on you. Staying under the same roof with the person she cared about, sharing the same hobbies, and being able to fantasize about a peaceful life in the future. Isn't this exactly what she had always wanted? She suddenly said softly, "It's really nice to have you here." Hearing this, you immediately nodded seriously. "I think so too." "Wait, no, I mean, it's really nice." Looking at your anxious attempt to explain yourself, Su Jingyao laughed so hard she trembled beautifully. Combined with her already exquisite oval face, it left you staring a bit dazed. It was only in front of you that Su Jingyao would laugh straight from her heart. When she was all by herself, she couldn't help but constantly think about the past and the future, full of melancholy. The movie quickly came to an end. You lifted your head to look at Su Jingyao, blinking your eyes as you acted cute, saying, "Sister, I'm hungry. I want to have some food." "Then sister will take you out to eat." Su Jingyao agreed readily. After changing clothes, you and Su Jingyao walked out of the house and got into the car, still choosing that low-profile domestic vehicle. Leaving the villa district, you brought her to a hot pot and buffet place next to the school, grabbing the barbecue meats and 2 servings of black pepper steak. You couldn't wait to dug in, eating in huge mouthfuls, not forgetting to steal a glance at Su Jingyao across from you. Seeing her eating in small bites without showing any disdain toward you, your heart finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, you were actually worried this young miss wouldn't be used to eating at such a cheap place. After finishing the meal, in order not to waste this rare holiday, you took Su Jingyao to the University Town Snack Street and the video arcade to look around. As soon as you arrived at the arcade, Su Jingyao dragged you right over to a claw machine, pointing at the pink panda inside and saying, "I want this one." You gave her an unexpected look. You really didn't expect that she would actually like this kind of plush toy. You patted your chest, "Wait for me a moment." Saying that, you walked over to the token machine to scan the code and pay, bringing back just 10 game tokens to the front of the claw machine. Smiling confidently, you said, "Watch closely, girl. I can handle this kind of claw machine with one hand." Su Jingyao backhanded you with a light smack to your head and said testily, "Stop being disrespectful and hurry up and catch it. If you can't catch it, I'll tell your uncle about the time you got busted." At the bathhouse center, 20 minutes later, Su Jingyao looked at you with an expressionless face, while cold sweat broke out all over your forehead. She spoke flatly. "You've dropped 200 tokens into this thing back and forth. You could have bought several dolls with that money. Can you actually do it or not?" The words "cannot do it" are for a man simply the ultimate insult. Fuming with frustration, you slapped the game machine, and as fate would have it, your hand landed right on the drop button. You could only watch as the claw machine's hook slowly descended, unexpectedly hooking onto the tags of 2 dolls by complete coincidence. Under the astonished gazes of you and Su Jingyao, they dropped steadily right into the prize chute next to it. You quickly squatted down, took out the pink panda and the blue panda, and smiled triumphantly at Su Jingyao. "See that? This is my true strength." Snagging 2 of them in one go. "Hand them over." Su Jingyao took the dolls, complaining under her breath about wasting so much time. "If I knew it'd take this long, it would have been better to just buy them." As the sky gradually turned dark, you both wrapped up this wonderful day. After all, you still had to go to work the next day. The next morning at 8 a.m., inside the general manager's office, a bit more pressure on the left. "Bratty brother, did you not eat breakfast, or are you just weak?" Su Jingyao leaned back in her chair with a face full of enjoyment. You gritted your teeth while massaging her shoulders, having already cursed this woman 800 times in your heart. If this were the past, you would have taught her a lesson long ago, but thinking about how she still held dirt on you, you could only force yourself to endure it. "Little Ping, go pour me a glass of water." Su Jingyao instructed again, and you said testily, "Are you going to drink it or not?" "How dare you talk back to me?" Su Jingyao raised her eyebrows. "Believe it or not, I'll tell your uncle about that matter." "Do you want it hot or lukewarm?" You immediately softened up, took the water cup from the desk, walked to the water dispenser to fill a cup of hot water, then walked to the air conditioner to blow on it a bit. Feeling the cup to ensure it wasn't scalding you, finally handed it to Su Jingyao. Su Jingyao watched your every single move, smiling as she took the cup. Having a bratty brother she could order around turned out to be so comfortable, she didn't have to lift a finger for anything. It was simply too amazing. After pouring the water, you were tired too, so you directly laid down on the nearby sofa, opening your phone to play that anime game. This was way more comfortable than slacking off at your workstation, and you didn't have to worry about disturbing others. Seeing this, Su Jingyao didn't say anything, thinking in her heart that this was actually perfect. It saved you from going out to flirt with others. In case you got lured away by some wildflower out there, where could she ever find such an obedient brother again? The afternoon quickly passed by. When evening arrived, Qinwan Ru, who had just returned from her trip, called, saying she brought back local specialties for you guys, and that you should all have dinner together tonight. On the way back home, the moment you thought about the disastrous situation of the last meal, you still felt lingering fear in your heart. You said to Su Jingyao beside you, let's agree on this first. If Auntie Tin is cooking tonight, remember to give me a heads up when you plan to slip away. We'll escape together. I really don't want to have diarrhea for another whole night. Su Jingyao completely ignored you, just focusing on playing with her phone. Once you arrived at Haoting Bieyuan, hearing that Lu Zhengguo was the one cooking, only then did you breathe a sigh of relief. Plumping your butt down onto the sofa, you casually turned on the TV to pass the time. Su Jingyao also sat down right after you, intentionally keeping a little distance from you. Right at this moment, Qin Wanru picked up a piece of red bean cake from the table and handed it to your mouth, smiling. Xiaoping, your dad said you love eating snacks. Auntie specially bought these pastries for you. Taste it and see how it is. You thanked her and opened your mouth to eat it directly. Su Jingyao beside you, although staring at the TV, kept drifting her peripheral vision over to this side. Seeing her mom actually feeding you directly, a wave of displeasure instantly hit her heart. This bratty brother, can't he keep some distance from other women? Qin Wanru suddenly spoke again. Xiaopeng, you're not a kid anymore. Tomorrow, there's a matchmaking event over at City Garden. Let Jingjing take you there to look around and see if there's someone suitable to start dating first. In a couple of years, it'll be just the right time to get married. The moment these words came out, you and Su Jingyao stood up almost at the exact same time. You were shocked, while she was panicked. Su Jingyao quickly said, my brother isn't ugly. Why are you in such a hurry to find him a girlfriend? Qin Wanru looked at her daughter, who was usually calm, but now had eyes completely full of panic, and intentionally tilted her head in confusion. I'm asking Xiaopeng to find a girlfriend. What are you getting so anxious about? Who's anxious? I'm not anxious at all. Su Jingyao's face flushed completely red. Qin Wanru laughed secretly in her heart, turned her head to look at you, reached out to pat your shoulder, and said earnestly, then it's settled. After saying that, without giving you a chance to speak, she turned around and walked toward the kitchen. Inside the kitchen, Lu Zhengguo had heard the conversation of the three perfectly clear. Seeing Qin Wanru walk in, he leaned forward and lowered his voice to ask, didn't you say before that you wanted to play matchmaker for Jingjing and Xiaoping? Why are you sending Xiaopeng to a matchmaking event now? Qin Wanru rolled her eyes at him. Are you stupid? I'm doing this to speed up their relationship. But early the next morning, Su Jingyao, who was sitting in the driver's seat, had an expressionless face, her body emitting waves of freezing chill. The man she herself couldn't bear to harm, now unexpectedly had to be sent out willingly, for other women to choose from. Who could possibly be in a good mood? Beside her, you were also completely speechless. You didn't want to go on a blind date at all. Once you arrived at the matchmaking corner of the park, Su Jingyao said to you with a cold face, we are only here to look around today, not for an actual blind date. If you dare to flirt with anyone, I'll tell your uncle about you getting busted at the bathhouse center and secretly sneaking into my room in the middle of the night. You know what the consequences will be. The moment you thought of that outcome, you couldn't help but shudder, hurriedly and obediently agreeing. In your heart, you secretly wondered why this woman had become terrifying again. The two of you had only walked forward for a short distance before attracting the attention of many people. Whether men or women, everyone's eyes lit up. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful. Both of them were top-tier catches to begin with. At matchmaking events, most women want to find a rich man, while most men want to find a beautiful woman. Very soon, a man blocked the way in front of Su Jingyao, introducing himself confidently in English. Hello, madam. My name is Chen, just returned from the United States. Think we can have a deeper conversation. He felt his own conditions were good enough, and that he was definitely a premium choice in this matchmaking event. But he just happened to cross paths with Su Jingyao. Sure enough, Su Jingyao spoke up in a cold voice, shut up, get lost, saying that she used a bit of force and pushed the man directly to the ground. The man gasped from the pain, and the surrounding people also began to gossip. How can this person act like this? With the interlude over, you successfully walked into the core area of the matchmaking event. A high platform was set up in the center, where a person called Auntie Lee was currently matching up the blind dating men and women. The crowd watching the excitement below the stage was packed like a sea of people, making the scene exceptionally noisy. At this moment, Auntie Lee on the stage had just found a female candidate and was wondering which man to select. Suddenly, her eyes caught sight of you and instantly lit up, pointing her finger at you and shouting, that young man. Stop looking around. Yes, you hurry up onto the stage. It's you quickly come up on stage. Being stared at by so many people made your scalp tingle, so you had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk up to the high platform. After both sides went up on the stage, Auntie Lee, wearing a red robe, held the microphone and smiled at the female side. This young man is pretty good, right? You go ahead and introduce yourself first. The woman finished introducing herself with confidence, and Auntie Lee instantly put on an astonished expression. Although this girl is a bit older, her conditions are truly premium. Finding a man wouldn't be difficult for her at all. Immediately after Auntie Lee looked at you, your turn. You spoke up flatly, my name is Gu Fei. Just graduated from Shanghai University this year and currently working as an intern. No house, no car. At the exact same time, Gu Fei, who was watching adult study videos at home, suddenly sneezed hard twice. Looking around in confusion, he muttered, "Strange. Who dares to gossip about me behind my back? Could it be that my body has grown weak from doing it too much lately?" Half an hour later, Su Jingyao stood beneath a 3-meter-high green tree. Standing right beside her, you said with a pleasing smile, "My dear sister, this little one performed pretty well, right? I didn't embarrass you, did I?" The corners of Su Jingyao's lips curved upward. She reached out her fair hand to rustle your hair. "Consider yourself passed. You didn't embarrass your sister. Let's go, as a reward. Sister will take you to enjoy a seafood feast." After leaving the city park, Su Jingyao brought you to a nearby open-air Western restaurant. Inside the restaurant, Su Jingyao expertly cut the steak on her plate, while you straight up used your hands to grab and gnaw at it, acting as crude as possible. Seeing your behavior, Su Jingyao smiled and asked Xiaopeng, "What exactly is your standard for a partner?" You were completely immersed in the delicious food, answering without even thinking, "Someone just like you?" Though if her personality were a bit better, it would be perfect. You didn't notice that. This casual remark of yours actually set off stormy waves in Su Jingyao's calm heart, making her freeze her actions completely. Pondering nonstop in her heart, "Someone like me? Does that mean this bratty brother likes me?" Taking advantage of the moment she was dazed, you had already finished gnawing your own steak. Seeing her sitting there frozen without moving, you straight up grabbed the steak she had already cut up, happily eating away. "You don't like to eat this. Then I'll show some great mercy and help you finish it off." After finishing lunch, trouble suddenly arose at the company. Su Jingyao had no choice but to pause her leave and bring you back to the company. The matter originated from the deputy manager of the sales department, taking bribes, and Secretary Zhou had uncovered the evidence. This time the amount actually reached over 10 million yuan, which had long crossed Su Jingyao's bottom line. Su Jingyao handled this matter, staying busy all the way until evening before it concluded. On the way back, she didn't even have the mood to tease you anymore. Seeing her state, you didn't disturb her either. Upon returning, you went straight back to your room. You couldn't help out with the situation, so the only thing you could do was to not cause any trouble for Su Jingyao. Over the next 3 days, Su Jingyao looked miserable every single day because of this. When going to work on Wednesday, your colleague next to you, Tang Xiaoyu, had a brow full of worry. After hesitating for a good while, she leaned close to your ear and whispered a few words. After listening, you were a bit puzzled. "This is no small matter. Are you sure you didn't hear wrong?" Tang Xiaoyu nodded her head with a firm gaze. "I'm sure." Seeing that she didn't seem to be joking, after pondering for a brief moment, you said, "All right. Then after work, I'll go take a look with you. If it's truly as you said, you'll have achieved a massive contribution this time." The afternoon quickly passed by. Inside a car downstairs at the company building, Su Jingyao sat in the passenger seat, her brows completely full of fatigue. Seeing that you hadn't come out after a long time, she frowned and was just about to make a call. But her phone received a message from you, "Go home first. I have some serious business to handle. I'll be back late, no need to wait for me for dinner." Seeing the message, Su Jingyao's already bad. Mood became even worse. Could this bratty brother have gone to get a massage again? She immediately ordered the security department to check the surveillance footage. 10 minutes later, the security department replied, "President Su, after young Master Lu off work, he left the company together with a female colleague." Su Jingyao's brows furrowed even tighter, and she immediately ordered the driver to follow you. Very soon, they caught up to you and Tang Xiaoyu walking along the roadside. Completely beyond expectations. The two of you actually walked right into a couple's hotel. Witnessing this scene, Su Jingyao gritted her teeth and said, "Go home!" At the exact same time, inside the hotel suite, you and Tang Xiaoyu were currently leaning quietly by the door, pressing your ears against it to listen. After a good long while, some movement finally came from outside the corridor. The voices of a man and a woman talking. It didn't quiet down until the door of the neighboring suite slammed shut. Although the sound was faint, you still recognized one of the voices. It was the company's vice president, Zhao Hongyi. As for the other person, you didn't know. In fact, the reason you two came here was because Tang Xiaoyu felt stuffy during yesterday's lunch break and wanted to go to the rooftop to get some fresh air. She happened to overhear Zhao Hongyi making a call to a rival company, saying he wanted to sell out the company's business proposals, and also mentioned that the transaction location was right here. At this moment, you quickly pulled out your phone, and the screen was currently displaying a call interface. Before coming here, you used Tang Xiaoyu's phone to connect to a wireless Bluetooth earbud, first dialing through to your own phone, then passing through the suite's balcony window to drop one earbud right underneath the bed of the neighboring room. By doing this, you guys would be able to use that earbud to eavesdrop on the conversation next door. Very soon, a woman's voice came from the room next door. "President Zhao, this is a little token of sincerity from our boss to you. Please accept it." Next was Zhao Hongyi's voice, carrying a satisfied chuckle. "Pleasure doing business with you." Following that was the sound of a zipper sliding. You guessed he must have opened that black leather bag. Not long after, Zhao Hongyi's voice came through once again. "This copy is Yunxiao Group's core asset. Keep it safe." Your heart tightened up. A private middle school in the Shanghai city center was about to be demolished, and many real estate companies were eyeing that plot of land. Among them, the most competitive rivals were Yunqiao Group and Longtian Group. It looked like that woman was actually Longtian Group's chairman's secretary. Her purpose for coming here this time was precisely to get Yunqiao Group's proposal and floor price. Once the proposal was taken away, Su Jingyao's hard work over these past few days would go completely to waste. Thank you, President Zhao. The woman's voice carried a sense of urgency, seeming as if she wanted to reach out for the proposal, but Zhao Hongyi dodged away. He smiled mischievously and said, "If you want the proposal, it depends on your performance in a little bit." The woman understood instantly, letting out a seductive laugh. Next came the sound of rustling clothes, followed by some noises that made one's face flush and ears turn red. You cleared your throat twice, quickly turned off the recording and said, "Let's go. We should head out first." After leaving the hotel, you hailed a cab, explained a few things to Tang Xiaoyu, and sent her home first, before heading toward Haoting Bieyuan. Just as you arrive at the house entrance, the driver who had been waiting all along pulled you aside, lowering his voice, to briefly explain the matter of how Su Jingyao caught sight of you and Tang Xiaoyu entering the hotel. But right at this moment, the villa door opened, and Su Jingyao walked out after hearing the commotion. Staring at you with cold eyes, her voice was ice cold. "You still have the nerve to come back." You shrugged your shoulders, saying nonchalantly, "If you don't want me back, then I'll just leave." After saying that, you straight up turned around and left, without even a hint of hesitation. Su Jingyao was completely stunned. She thought you would explain yourself in a panic, but she never expected you to leave without even looking back. Trembling with rage, she said, "Go then. It's for the best if you leave and don't you ever come back." He left, and it's best if he never comes back. You walked on the street. In your heart, you actually knew very well that you weren't a fool. Through Su Jingyao's recent actions, you had long seen that she had feelings for you. But then you thought about it differently. You came from a single-parent family, having absolutely nothing to your name. As for Su Jingyao, she was a dazzlingly talented woman. If it weren't for your dad's connection, you wouldn't have been able to cross paths with her in this lifetime. Instead of getting closer and closer in the future and having to struggle to maintain the boundaries of siblings, it would be better to take this opportunity to draw a clear line early on. Of course, you also knew this wouldn't stay hidden for long, but you just wanted to use this incident to give her a clear answer. The two of you are not a match. After that, you sent a message to Tang Xiaoyu, telling her not to include you when she makes the report, and to say that it was entirely her own credit. Although Tang Xiaoyu was puzzled, she still obediently agreed. But you never expected that. You had still underestimated Su Jingyao's feelings for you. The next day you didn't go to work, but instead rode Gufei's little electric scooter to deliver food. Before Yunqiao Group officially fired you, you could only get by delivering food. Fortunately, you often worked temporary jobs during university, so you were very familiar with the surrounding road conditions, and making deliveries wasn't considered a struggle. At the exact same time, inside the general manager's office of Yunqiao Group, Su Jingyao looked at your vacant workstation on the surveillance monitor, unable to stop herself from clenching her delicate fist. "Lu Chen, why didn't you explain things to me?" Her peripheral vision caught the pink panda on the desk. That was the doll you had caught earlier. Your face instantly surfaced in her mind. Her intuition told her that you weren't the kind of person who would mess around outside, but everything her eyes witnessed forced her to believe it. Just as Su Jingyao was feeling distracted and annoyed, Secretary Zhou suddenly pushed open the office door, walked swiftly to her side, and whispered a few words. After listening, Su Jingyao frowned slightly. "Are you certain this is real?" Secretary Zhou nodded solemnly, pulling out her phone and bringing up an audio recording, and played it right in front of her. The content of the recording was precisely the conversation between Zhao Hongyi and the secretary of Longtian Group. Su Jingyao's face gradually grew somber. Her mind, which had stalled because of your departure, began to race rapidly. Tang Xiaoyu claimed she secretly recorded this audio herself, but based on her understanding of Tang Xiaoyu, with Tang Xiaoyu's capabilities, it was absolutely impossible for her to get this recording alone. Coupled with the fact that Tang Xiaoyu went to the couple's hotel with you yesterday, Su Jingyao suddenly stood up and walked swiftly out of the office without saying a single word. She finally understood. You wanted to use this whole thing to reject her, but who gave you the right to choose? How dare you? Su Jingyao gritted her teeth. Even if she had to tie you up, she would tie you up and bring you back. She first went to the planning department to find Tang Xiaoyu and asked where you were, but Tang Xiaoyu said in a panic that she didn't know. Su Jingyao could only give up. She then called your phone many times, but no one answered. Out of desperation, she could only use the most foolish method, driving her car all over the streets to look for you. Meanwhile, you who were fully immersed in delivering food, found your mood had hit absolute rock bottom. Delivering food on such a hot day was no different from going to hell, and the most critical part was that the pay rate was still so low. The afternoon quickly passed by. The sky gradually darkened. You rode the little electric scooter to pick up Gufei, who had just gotten off work, and found a nearby barbecue stall, planning to have a good drinking session. This drinking lasted until the middle of the night, and 2 bottles of baro were completely emptied. You and Gufei couldn't even walk steadily. staggering along while supporting each other. Your face was completely flushed red, and letting out a whine burp, you muttered, "Good son. Now that things have come to this, your father won't hide it from you anymore." Actually, that online girlfriend you dated back in freshman year was me pretending with an alternate account. Gufei froze for a moment, and then smiled. "It's fine. Actually, that pile of black stockings in your wardrobe was secretly put in there by me." The two of you exchanged glances and both laughed. Under the dim yellow light of the street lamps, supporting each other, you two walked further and further away. When passing around a street corner, you both finally couldn't hold on anymore and fell to the ground together, falling into a deep and heavy sleep. Not long after, from the darkness not far away, a Porsche came speeding along. Immediately following that was the piercing sound of brakes screeching. In the next second, the Porsche drifted and came to a steady halt. The car door opened, and Su Jingyao stepped out of the vehicle. She strode forward quickly, grabbed you by the collar, opened the rear passenger door, threw you inside, and then drove off. She completely ignored Gufei, who was still lying on the ground. The next morning, you opened your eyes in a daze, your head hurting so badly it felt like it was about to explode. Patting your head, you finally looked at your surroundings. This room layout looked somewhat familiar, and there was a faint, lingering fragrance drifting to the tip of your nose. After a moment, you finally accepted reality. You were in Su Jingyao's room, and you were even lying under her blankets. You drank too much last night and couldn't remember a single thing. Could it be? Before you could think deeper, the room door suddenly opened. Su Jingyao, wearing pajamas, walked in carrying a bowl of white congee. Glancing at you now that you were awake, she spoke flatly, "I cooked some congee for you. Use it to warm your stomach." You looked at the messy bed, and then looked at yourself only wearing big boxers, asking with a face on the verge of tears. "Last night, we didn't do anything we shouldn't have done last night, right?" The corners of Su Jingyao's mouth curved up slightly. She walked over to the chair beside the bed and sat down, saying softly, "A lonely man and a single woman sharing a room. What do you think would happen? I have to say you were very wonderful." The moment these words came out, all sorts of wild and messy images instantly flashed through your mind. Covering your face, you lay back on the bed, looking completely hopeless. The chastity you had closely guarded for over 20 years was just gone like that. Seeing you in this state, Su Jingyao said helplessly, "Don't worry. I slept in your room last night. Why make it seem like you're losing out so much if I slept with you? Are you disgusted by me?" Only then did you breathe a sigh of relief. Su Jingyao scooped up a spoonful of congee and brought it to your mouth, blinking her beautiful eyes as she said softly, "Open up. I can eat by myself." "No need for you to feed me," you protested in a low voice. "Stinky man, I haven't even settled the score with you for what happened the day before yesterday. When I tell you to eat, just eat. Don't force me to slap you." Su Jingyao's eyes turned cold. Being stared at by her threatening gaze, you had no choice but to bite the bullet and swallow the congee. Seeing you soften up, Su Jingyao directly asked, "You know I like you, right? I've dropped hints so many times before. You must know it very clearly. But why did you reject me? Give me a reason." You subconsciously said, "You are a good person." Before you could finish your words, Su Jingyao's expression changed abruptly, and she raised her hand to give your right cheek a slap. Staring dead at you, she said, "Wrong answer, say it again." Holding your slightly aching right cheek, you felt both angry and aggrieved in your heart. Just as you wanted to argue, you saw her raising her hand again, so you instantly shrank your neck, pouting as you said, "We are originally siblings, you know. Besides, you're so amazing. I'm not good enough for you." Su Jingyao continued to look at you, her tone firm. "What I'm asking is whether you like me or not." "I do like you," you said in a low voice. "Then that's all that matters." Su Jingyao interrupted you. "Whether you are good enough is for me to decide. If I say you're good enough, then you are good enough." You were left speechless, not knowing what to say. The bowl of congee soon hit the bottom. Su Jingyao set the empty bowl aside, walked back to the bedside, and sat down, her eyes serious. "When I first graduated, I didn't know what I was living for, and I often felt lost. During my most helpless time, it was you who gave me the motivation to move forward. After spending time with you, only then did I realize that the future might not be so bad after all. Xiaopeng, I truly like you." Looking at her incredibly serious expression, you fell silent for a brief moment, then suddenly raised your hand and gave yourself a heavy punch, hating your own weakness and playing dumb. With a flushed face, you finally spoke up, "Su Jingyao, I like you too. I want to be with you." Hearing this reply, a brilliant smile finally blossomed on Su Jingyao's face. You also mustered up your courage and slowly moved closer to her. Just as the distance between the two of you grew closer and closer, and you were finally about to break through that inner barrier, a commotion suddenly came from outside the room. "Jing Jing, are you home?" Qin Wanru's voice rang out, and immediately following that, the bedroom door was pushed open. She looked at you and Su Jingyao sitting perfectly upright in the room, asking in confusion in broad daylight, "What are you two doing sneaking around in the bedroom? I called out to you and you didn't even reply. I thought no one was home." "Mom, what are you doing here?" Su Jingyao was smiling on the surface, but her heart was already in a massive uproar. You were just one tiny bit away. This mom of hers didn't come early or late, but just had to come and ruin things at this exact moment. "Uncle Lu and I just went to the phone store. This phone has been used for 2 years and it's time to change it. So I bought a set for you and Xiaopeng as well while I was at it. Qin Wanru waved the phone boxes in her hand. Su Jingyao knew that kissing was out of the question now, so she could only walk out of the room huffing in anger. You also quickly grabbed your clothes by the bedside to put them on, and wanted to walk downstairs nervously, but you were stopped by Qin Wanru reaching out her hand. Qin Wanru's smile was somewhat playful. How strange. Xiaopeng, why were you sleeping in Jingjing's room? Don't tell me you two... You scratched your head guiltily, forcing yourself to calm down as you explained, I drank too much last night, and my sister brought me back. She slept in my room last night. Oh, so that's how it is. Only then did Qin Wanru let you off the hook. Smiling as she watched your retreating figure, nodding in satisfaction. Looks like the son-in-law is already a locked deal. Though sharing a room this early, things are developing a bit too fast. I need to step in and put a stop to this. When it comes to relationships, you shouldn't rush things. Forcing yourselves together without breaking the ice will lead to problems sooner or later. After finishing lunch, you were forcefully dragged out by Su Jingyao to go shopping. On a nearby snack street bustling with massive foot traffic, you followed closely behind her. Your hand accidentally brushed against hers, and you were so startled that you quickly pulled your hand back. But then, you thought about it differently and realized something was wrong. Since you both had already made your feelings clear to each other, even though there wasn't an official confession yet, you could still be considered a boyfriend on probation, right? What's wrong with holding hands? Thinking this way, you mustered up your courage and grabbed Su Jingyao's hand in one swift motion, holding it tightly in yours as your blood surged with nervousness. Su Jingyao's cheeks turned slightly red, and she leaned a little bit closer to you, leaving your bodies practically pressed against each other. She suddenly spoke up. The matter of you entering a couple's hotel with another woman the day before yesterday. How do you think I should punish you for that? I only did that to help you catch the traitor. You quickly explained to yourself. Su Jingyao turned her head to look at you, her tone carrying a hint of slight grievance. Let me say it one more time. You entered a couple's hotel with another woman. You couldn't find any words to counter her, so you could only ask with a bitter face, then how do you plan to punish me? Let's agree on this first. My salary for this month has already been completely docked by you. Su Jingyao leaned close to your ear and smiled mischievously. Then I'll first punish you by making you stay by my side for the rest of your life, and you're not allowed to go anywhere else. Summer in Shanghai is undoubtedly the most torturous thing ever. As far as you were concerned, you would rather freeze to death than endure this kind of heat. Therefore, you and Su Jingyao just strolled around casually before heading back home. But the moment you arrived home, your mom and Uncle Lu had actually moved their belongings over. They claimed the air conditioning over at their place was broken, so they needed to stay here for a few days. What you didn't know was that this move was actually an assist planned by Qin Wanru, done precisely to push your relationship with Su Jingyao one step further. Inside the villa at night, Lu Zhengguo was responsible for cooking, and you were responsible for washing dishes and wiping tables. The division of labor was perfectly clear. When it was late at night and you returned to your room, Su Jingyao suddenly made a call saying flatly, I have insomnia and can't sleep. Accompany me and chat for a while. Then are you actually unable to sleep? Or do you just want to find me to chat? You asked knowingly with a smile. A few minutes later, you and she started chatting over your phones through the wall. You shared some funny stories from your university days with her. But after talking for just a short while, there was no more movement on the other end of the line. It was very obvious that Su Jingyao had already fallen asleep listening to you. Lying under your blankets, you didn't hang up the phone, whispering a soft good night before closing your eyes with exhaustion and falling into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, you were choked awake by Su Jingyao pinching your nose shut with her hand. Rubbing your reddened nose, you complained discontentedly. Ouch. What are you doing? Su Jingyao stood with her hands behind her back looking at you expressionlessly. After getting out of bed, the very first sentence you say to your girlfriend is, what are you doing? Oh, really? Go to hell, you scumbag. You helplessly compromised. Fine, fine, fine. Good morning, my dear sister. How about we get lost? Are you trying to disgust me? Hurry up and get out of bed to eat breakfast. Starting from today, come to the company with me. Su Jingyao interrupted you. Previously, in order to avoid the gossip of the company's people, coupled with the fact that you love sleeping in, you and Su Jingyao always went to the company at different times. But now, everyone from top to bottom at the company knew you were a well-connected employee, and moreover, you two had already broken through that layer of barrier, so there was no longer any need to hide things. After finishing the meal, Qin Wanru stood at the doorway, watching the car drive off into the distance, saying with a bright smile, these two young youngsters, they really do look a bit like a married couple. Of course they do. Why don't you look at whose son he is? Lu Zhengguo walked over, with a face full of pride. In fact, you had always been his pride. Graduated from a prestigious university and looking handsome and cheerful. Which woman wouldn't like him upon seeing him? Qin Wanru rolled her eyes at him. What are you looking at? Hurry up and wash the dishes. Lu Zhengguo obediently complied, turning around to enter the kitchen. In the car on the way to the company, free from her mom's supervision, Su Jingyao completely unleashed her little demon nature. She couldn't wait to embrace you. Looking up with a mischievous smile, no one is monitoring us now. Don't you want to do something to me? It's limited to right now, you know? Whatever you want to do, I'll say yes. You finally let go of your reservations too, slowly moving your head closer to hers. As the distance grew closer and closer, your heart beat faster and faster. In the next second, as you closed your eyes, you felt your lips touch something incredibly soft. When you opened your eyes, Su Jingyao's flawless face was right before you. Looking at your flushed face, she knew for sure that this must be your first kiss. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but curve into a smile. My bratty brother is truly cute to death. Originally, it only took a little over 10 minutes from Haoting Beiyuan to the company, but the driver seemed to intentionally slow down, taking a full half hour to arrive downstairs at the company building. Upon entering the company, Su Jingyao instantly transformed back into the Ice Queen CEO. Stepping in her high heels, with a women's suit jacket draped over her shoulders, she walked toward her office with full dominance. Secretary Zhou had long been waiting at the door. Seeing her approach, she took the initiative to open the door and said softly, "President Su, according to the investigation, Vice President Zhao's behavior is indeed somewhat fishy. The recording provided by Tang Xiaoyu is highly likely to be authentic." A vice general manager, taking the lead in selling out the group's interest was no small matter, and it might even implicate quite a few high-level executives. Su Jingyao walked to her desk and sat down, instructing in a cold tone, "Redraft a copy of the proposal. It must be conducted in absolute secrecy. In addition, consolidate our funds. Since the other party already knows our floor price, then we shall beat them at their own game. On the other side, you return to your workstation, feeling uncomfortable no matter what you did." Once the novelty of slacking off had worn off, it only felt like a form of torture. After thinking it over, you got up and walked toward the general manager's office. Inside the office, Secretary Zhou was currently reporting on work. When she saw you walk right in without even knocking, right in front of Su Jingyao, you said with a face full of confidence, "I've made up my mind. I want to start my own business. After all, I graduated from a prestigious university. What if the company actually succeeds? When that time comes, you can be the master of this house." Secretary Zhou looked at you with a bizarre expression, feeling incredibly skeptical in her heart. Where did you get the courage to dare say such words right in front of President Su? With President Su's strong and dominant personality, how could she possibly let you start a business just because you said so? Especially now when the company is tight on funds. You are simply asking for a scolding. Sure, Su Jingyao, however, agreed with a smile. "Bring me a feasible proposal, and I'll let you go start your business." There was a hint of calculation in her smile, but hidden within that playfulness was absolute pampering. Secretary Zhou was completely dumbfounded watching this, unable to stop herself from complaining in her heart, "Hey, who is this love-brained person? Where did that powerful and overbearing President Su go?" You also didn't expect it to go so smoothly. After freezing for a moment, you scratched your head, turned around, and walked out of the office, muttering in your heart, "Since when did this woman become so easy to talk to?" Facing Secretary Zhou's puzzled gaze, Su Jingyao didn't explain. She simply brought up the surveillance feed for Planning Team 3, quietly watching the screen as you returned to your workstation. At first, you opened up PowerPoint full of fighting spirit, but after staring at the computer with a miserable face for a long time, in the end, you still opened the game to slack off. Only then did Su Jingyao let out a triumphant smile. "The reason I didn't care about him slacking off for the past half month was precisely to indirectly destroy his ambition. Now he has already been spoiled into a complete work slacker by me. How could he possibly start a business?" Secretary Zhou gave a thumbs up in admiration. As expected of President Su, this move is absolutely brilliant. In just a short half month, without even realizing it yourself, you had completely become unable to escape from the palm of Su Jingyao's hand. Su Jingyao laughed secretly in her heart, "You bratty brother. You just need to obediently be my eye candy. How wonderful it is for me to make money and support you." Soon it was lunchtime. Tang Xiaoyu finished tidying up her documents and was preparing to head to the cafeteria. Seeing you beside her, sleeping soundly, she called out in a low voice, "Brother Ping, wake up. It's time to go eat." You smacked your lips without showing any sign of waking up at all. Just at this moment, Su Jingyao walked over. Seeing this, Tang Xiaoyu quickly stepped aside, lowering her head to greet respectfully, "Good afternoon, President Su." Su Jingyao gave a soft hum in response, her gaze falling upon you sleeping deeply face down on the desk. Intentionally raising her voice, she said, "Look quick, there's a celebrity wearing black stockings over there, and she's even holding a limited edition Asuna body pillow in her hands." These words seemed to trigger a switch, making you stand straight up as a reflex, looking all around, with drool still running from the corner of your mouth, asking excitedly, "Black stockings where? Where is it?" Tang Xiaoyu, who was on the side, couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. She really didn't expect that you, who were usually so lazy and relaxed, would actually have such a hilarious side. In the next second, you were dragged toward the elevator area by Su Jingyao, pinching your ear. As she walked, she said, "There's a little problem with our industries over in Japan, so I need to go on a business trip for 2 days. Accompany me to have lunch outside and then I'll head off. You hadn't snapped out of it yet, so you nodded your head subconsciously. Very soon, Su Jingyao brought you to a high-end Western restaurant. While eating, the two of you couldn't help but flirt with each other, completely stuffing the waiter nearby with your public displays of affection before he even got to eat his own lunch. In the afternoon, inside the waiting lounge of the Shanghai airport, Su Jingyao wore a pure white long dress, looking exactly like a pure and cold goddess, attracting the gaze of most passersby. Seeing that it was almost time for boarding, Su Jingyao stepped forward and gave you a warm embrace, just as you were bursting with joy. Her playful laughter came from right next to your ear. Bratty brother, you better behave yourself during these 2 days that I am not at home. If I find out that you are misbehaving outside, you'll be dead meat when I get back. Cold sweat broke out on your forehead, nodding your head repeatedly to show your loyalty. Only then did Su Jingyao reveal a satisfied smile. She gently touched your lips, then turned around and walked toward the boarding gate. Half an hour later, watching the plane slice through the sky, you suppressed the excitement in your heart and walked out of the airport. Now that she's gone, how can she control you anymore? Going to work is absolutely out of the question. You're going to stay up all night gaming and binge watching shows. The next day you lived life in absolute comfort. When evening arrived, after finishing dinner and taking a shower, you lay on the bed and thought about it, deciding to call Su Jingyao after all. On the other side, inside a high-end hotel in Japan, Su Jingyao was currently dealing with work. With a focused expression, she looked at the complex Japanese on her computer, skimming through it at lightning speed. The phone on the desk rang, with the caller ID showing Silly Pig. Seeing this caller ID, the corners of Su Jingyao's mouth naturally curved up. She picked up the phone to answer it, saying softly, "I thought you wouldn't call me. Did you only start missing me now that it's dark?" You smiled and said, "I'm afraid that if I didn't make this call, you would whip me when you get back." Right after saying that, you noticed the other end of the line suddenly went silent. You quickly added, all right, I miss you. When exactly are you coming back?" Hearing this, the coldness in Su Jingyao's eyes finally dissolved, though her voice remained flat. "I wasn't around today. How did your day go?" "Not good. I missed you so much, I'm almost going crazy." You quickly showed your loyalty. The corners of Su Jingyao's mouth couldn't help but rise, and she chatted with you for a full 2 hours, not hanging up until she felt a bit sleepy. Early the next morning, the moment you opened your eyes, you saw Su Jingyao wearing a black nightdress, lying on her side right next to you. Beneath the hemline of the dress, a pair of fair, beautiful legs was revealed. Her voice was as gentle as fine silk. Brushing across your heart, lazy pig, you're finally awake. Lying under the blankets, you stared blankly at her sudden appearance, asking Delai, "Why are you here? Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip for 2 days?" Su Jingyao chuckled softly. "Didn't a certain someone say they missed me last night? So I caught an early morning flight to come back and have breakfast with you. It was a full 2,000 kilometers from Japan to Shanghai, just to have a single breakfast with you." You immediately reached out and embraced her, your heart feeling warm and sweet. This woman is simply too good at this. You buried your head in her embrace, your face burning intensely. Just as the two of you were flirting, Kinwanru's shout came from outside the room. "What are you two doing in there? Hurry up and come down to eat." Only then did you and Su Jingyao separate, quickly changing clothes to prepare to go downstairs. When leaving the room, Su Jingyao didn't forget to stamp your face with a gentle kiss. Downstairs, seeing the two of you finally come down, Kinwanru couldn't help but say to her daughter, "Look at you, flying back on a 2-hour flight just to eat a breakfast. Going back and forth like this is such a waste of time." Su Jingyao shrugged her shoulders. "I can't help it. Who told me to be a brother complex type?" Terrified that your mom would discover your relationship with Su Jingyao, you were too nervous to speak, solely burying your head in eating your food. After finishing breakfast, you drove Su Jingyao to the airport, and the two of you parted ways once again at the boarding gate. However, this exact scene was witnessed clearly by Su Hongyuan, who had just returned from abroad. Su Hongyuan stood at the exit holding a briefcase, watching you gaze at Su Jingyao's departing figure not far away, faintly feeling that something was wrong. He quickly pulled out his phone to snap a photo of this scene, and then gave Qinwan-ru a phone call. The moment the call connected, Su Hongyuan demanded furiously, "What exactly is the current relationship between that brat and Jing Jing? I just saw them hugging each other at the airport. How are you fulfilling your role as a mother?" In his heart, Su Jingyao was his most outstanding daughter. Even if she were to look for a partner, it should be a wealthy young master, and absolutely not a poor kid like you. On the other end of the line, Qinwan-ru was originally watching television, but upon hearing Su Hongyuan's words and being interrogated like this, her good mood instantly vanished. She said in a cold voice, "She is my daughter, and there's no need for you to stick your nose into her business. If you dare disturb them, don't blame me for turning against you." After saying that, she hung up the phone. Su Hongyuan gritted his teeth as he stared at the disconnected phone. After a brief moment, he dialed another number. On the other side, after seeing Su Jingyao off, you returned to the company to continue slacking off. This slacking off lasted the whole morning. Just as you were preparing to go eat, the phone on the desk rang. It was a video call from Su Jingyao. Once the call connected, Su Jingyao on the screen was all smiles, looking as if she were on a bustling commercial street, with a food tray placed beside her. She asked why you hadn't turned on the camera. I'm afraid you'll lust after my handsome looks. You intentionally teased her. Su Jingyao's pretty face sank. Are you looking for a lesson? You pouted, and had no choice but to turn on the camera. When your face appeared on the screen, only then did Su Jingyao reveal an exquisitely beautiful smile, saying softly, Xiaopeng, call me lady sister so I can hear it. Tang Xiaoyu, who was nearby and overheard this, couldn't help but marvel that your charm was simply too massive. To think you could make that high, mighty and aloof President Su become just like a sweet sister next door. I'm not calling you that. You let out a tsundere snort. What kind of person do you take me for? If you tell me to call you that and I just do it, then wouldn't I lose too much face? Man, my patience has its limits. Su Jingyao's eyes turned cold. If you don't want me holding a whip in my hand when I get back, you better be smart and read the room, understand? In the next second, you instantly switched to a gentle tone, calling out in a low voice, lady sister. After calling her that, even you felt your old face blush. Su Jingyao, on the other end of the line, couldn't suppress the upward curve of her lips. If it weren't for the fact that she was still on a business trip abroad, she would really love to pin you this rebellious bratty brother right beneath her now, and bully you thoroughly. Time quickly moved to the evening. A plane coming from overseas slowly landed at the Shanghai airport. Su Jingyao got off the plane. When walking through the waiting lounge, she instantly spotted a familiar figure in the corner. Because it was already very late, there weren't many people in the waiting lounge, making your dozing off appearance on the chair exceptionally eye-catching. The corners of Su Jingyao's mouth curved up slightly. She walked swiftly toward you, asking softly, did you make a special trip to pick up your sister? Count yourself as having a bit of a conscience. You woke up instantly. Seeing clearly that it was Su Jingyao, you stubbornly said, who came to pick you up? I was just on a night run and happened to run near here, so I just came in to rest for a bit because I was tired. Looking at your stubborn appearance, Su Jingyao stretched out her slender hand, pulled you up from the chair, and walked toward the airport exit. Stepping out of the airport, the city's night view came into sight. As the night breeze blew, it carried a touch of chilliness. Su Jingyao was only wearing a thin white dress. Seeing this, you quickly took off the jacket you were wearing and draped it over her shoulders. Su Jingyao's heart felt warm. She stepped forward to embrace you. Even with the jacket draped on, it's still a bit cold. It's much better like this. You didn't speak, but simply held her a little tighter. The Porsche was parked right by the roadside. After Su Jingyao sat in the passenger seat, she said good night and soon fell into a deep, heavy sleep. Her meaning was very obvious. When you get home later, you have to carry her back to her room in your arms. You let out a helpless sigh. Since you chose this girlfriend yourself, you just have to spoil her. The next morning at 8 o'clock, because she went to bed late last night, Su Jingyao hadn't gotten out of bed yet. At the dining table in the living room, upon hearing Qin Wanru's words, Lu Jingguo widened his eyes and asked, what meeting the father-in-law? We've only just started living together not long ago. Isn't this a bit too fast? It's not suitable. You, however, were casually eating your food completely unfazed. In your heart, you had already figured it out long ago. No matter how old a person is, as long as it's their first time meeting the father-in-law, they will always feel anxious. After all, you're abducting the precious daughter they spent so much effort raising. If you don't go through some trials, how could they possibly approve of you? Thinking about it this way, you actually felt a bit fortunate instead. At least you didn't have to go through these hardships. Lu Zhengguo, who was on the side, was still trying hard to push for a delayed meeting time. Qin Wanru rolled her eyes at him, saying speechlessly, the one my dad wants to meet is Xiaopeng. He's not meeting you, so what are you getting so worked up for? The moment these words came out, you froze, and Lu Zhengguo also froze. After Lu Zhengguo snapped out of it, he cleared his throat, twice patted you on the shoulder, and said with deep earnestness, son, Grandpa wants to meet you, so you absolutely must go. Show your face in front of the old man early on. You at least have 30% of your dad's charm from back when I was young. Go on. I believe in you. In your heart, you complained about this face-changing speed. You'd gladly call him the strongest at it. But despite your helplessness, he was an elder after all. And refusing a first-time meeting would be too impolite. So you had no choice but to bite the bullet and agree. After finishing the meal, Qin Wanru personally drove you, heading toward the outskirts. As she drove, she said, when your grandpa was young, he was a businessman who made his fortune during chaotic times. After he got old, he went into retirement and gave all of his family estate to me. I am his only daughter. As for your two uncles, they passed away before your grandma gave birth to me. On the express road leading to the Qin family manor, Qin Wanru glanced at you, who looked a bit constrained, and asked with a smile, Xiaopeng, to what extent have you and Jingjing developed by now? Have you already done everything you're supposed to do? You almost spat out a mouthful of food, coughing heavily twice, and said awkwardly, Aunt Qin, what are you saying? We haven't done anything. We are just in a normal sibling relationship. There's no need to pretend in front of your aunt. Qin Wanru said with a half smile. Do you think I don't know my own daughter? She barely even paid attention to me before, But ever since you arrived, her personality has become much more cheerful. So, do you two actually have something going on or not? No, absolutely not. You quickly waved your hands. We only confirmed our relationship not long ago. Then do you know why the old man explicitly demanded to see you this time? Qin Wanru asked. Seeing you shake your head, she explained, Su Hong Yuan, that guy saw you sending Jingjing to the airport, so he probably guessed something and secretly called the old man. The old man has always doted on Jingjing the most, so after learning that you are together with her, he insisted on calling you over. He probably wants to test you, so you better be mentally prepared. Even I can't guess what is on that old man's mind. You nodded your head thoughtfully. After driving forward for another 10-odd kilometers, the car drove away from the bustling downtown area and soon arrived in front of a massive manor. The manor was surrounded by high walls, and there were security guards patrolling at the entrance. Recognizing Qin Wanru's mailbox, 2 security guards quickly jogged over and pushed open the heavy iron gates. Once the gates opened, all the guards bowed in unison. This grand display forced you to marvel at the sheer power of wealth. After the Maybach entered the manor, it drove for another 2 minutes before pulling up to a stop in front of a 2-story villa. Hearing the commotion, Qin Huaishan walked out of the villa. Although he was already in his 70s, his back was still perfectly straight. Dressed in simple linen clothes, his sharp gaze landed right on you, and his voice was ancient yet powerful. So you're the kid dating Jingjing? Come over here and kneel for half an hour first. This imposing manner instantly intimidated you. Qin Wanru stepped down from the car and said helplessly, Dad, when will you ever change your habit of scaring people? He shook his head, leading you toward the inside of the villa. After entering the living room, Qin Huaishan took the opportunity to walk up in front of you, snorting coldly, Kid, you're finished. At this time, Qin Wanru cast a helpless glare at her dad. If you scare Xiaopeng out of his wits, watch out for Jingjing coming back to settle the score with you. I refuse to believe that Jingjing would view this kid as more important than me, the grandpa who dotes on her so much. Qin Wanru shook her head helplessly, leading you toward the inside of the villa. Hello, Grandpa Qin. You greeted him first before following them inside. Entering the living room, you sat down on the sofa, while Qin Wanru went to the kitchen to boil some water. Qin Huaishan took the opportunity to walk right up to you, snorting coldly. Kid, if you want to take Jingjing away, you have to pass my test first. Otherwise, it won't matter who comes here. Hearing this, you cautiously reminded him, Grandpa Qin, my dad and Aunt Qin are getting married. My own grandparents passed away a long time ago. So even if Jingjing and I get married, we'll still be coming to your place for New Year's and other holidays. Qin Huaishan froze for a moment. Thinking about it carefully, it really did seem to be the case. But he still stubbornly said, Cut that useless talk with me. This old man didn't receive much schooling, so I can't out-talk you young people. Anyway, long story short, if you want me to agree to you being together with Jingjing, you have to go stay in my bare woods for a whole day. His tone carried a hint of smugness, and he added, Don't say I didn't warn you. There are 2 adult black bears inside, and they've both tasted blood. If you can really stay inside for a whole day, it will prove that you truly like Jingjing. If you're scared, then go back to wherever you came from right now. Qin Huaishan had a look that screamed victory was within his grasp. A normal person's legs would go weak from just seeing a bear, let alone staying in the same woods with bears for a whole day. However, you nodded calmly and said, Sure, this is what you said yourself. You cannot go back on your word. This old man always keeps his word. Follow me. Qin Huaishan let out a cold snort and walked toward the back door of the villa with his hands behind his back. You followed closely behind him. The entire manor covered a massive area, including almost every kind of entertainment facility. Among them, a stretch of woods about the size of a football field occupied 1/3 of the manor. It was surrounded by layers of iron fences, and the low growls of bears could faintly be heard inside. To prevent any accidents, over a dozen bodyguards wielding electric batons guarded the entrance. And Huaishan brought you to the iron gate, just as a deafening bear roar echoed from inside the woods. He asked somewhat smugly, How about it, kid? It's still not too late to regret it now. The bears raised by my family are much sturdier than wild ones. With a single slap from them, they could probably launch you over a dozen meters away. With absolutely no fear on your face, you calmly replied, What I like the most are actually small animals. Qin Huaishan was left momentarily speechless, muttering in his heart, This kid is just too good at acting tough. He simply walked over to a small pavilion nearby, brought over a pager, threw it to you, and ordered the bodyguards open the gate and let him in. Then he said to you, If you can't hold on any longer, use the pager to call for help. If you get eaten by a bear just to show off, don't blame me for not warning you beforehand. The bodyguards opened the iron gate. Behind the gate lay the deep and quiet woods, overgrown with weeds and radiating a chilling atmosphere. You stuffed the pager into your pocket and walked straight inside, your figure soon disappearing from everyone's field of vision. At this moment, Qin Wanru, who had been quietly watching the whole time, walked over from behind, stopping right next to Qin Huaishan. Looking at the iron gate that was closed once again, she asked worriedly, Dad, isn't this a bit too much? What if something happens to Xiaopeng? Qin Huaishan walked into the pavilion and poured a cup of hot tea, saying indifferently, "What could possibly happen? Those two black bears were adopted by me ever since they were born. They've been fed with good food and drinks for 5 years, and their personalities are much gentler than ordinary bears. As long as that kid doesn't actively provoke them, nothing will happen." Wanru let out a soft sigh, sitting down on the side while still remaining deeply worried. Qin Huaishan felt a bit upset in his heart and began to clamor, "What exactly is so good about that kid that can make Jing like him this much, and even you are so worried about him? How many days have you two even known him?" "Dad, I am worried about you. If Jing finds out that you treated Xiaopeng like this, she will definitely cause a massive scene. I am her grandpa. I refuse to believe that this kid can be more important than me in her heart." Meanwhile, inside the woods enclosed by the iron fence, the sunlight pierced through the dense leaves, casting down patches of light in various shapes. As your vision adjusted, you had already walked to the core area of the woods, with soft soil right beneath your feet. While you appeared casual on the outside, you were extremely vigilant in your heart. The surrounding trees were sturdier than ordinary ones, with luxuriant branches and leaves. But this was not the main point. The main point was that on the sturdy tree trunks, deep and shallow paw prints could be seen from time to time. That old man didn't lie. There really are bears kept inside here. Just as you were fully on guard and planning to find a place to hide, the ground trembled slightly, and rustling sounds came from behind you. You stopped in your tracks, swallowed your saliva, and slowly turned around, only to see that at the place where you had just walked past, a black bear about as tall as you had appeared at some unknown point. With pitch black fur, its powerful body seemed to be filled with explosive strength. The black bear stared dead at you, twitching its nose to sniff around. You knew clearly that you must absolutely not run away at this moment. Once you run, you will instead be regarded as prey by the black bear, further triggering its desire to attack. Right now, the most important thing is to stabilize this big guy first, and then find an opportunity to slip away from behind and hide. Just as your brain was working at lightning speed to think of a strategy, more movement came from behind you. Another black bear taller than you quietly appeared, blocking your path of retreat. Two black bears emitting a powerful sense of pressure had you sandwiched right in the middle from front and back. Without giving you any chance to react, they bared their sharp teeth, which gleamed with a cold light and lunged toward you. On the other side, Su Jingyao slept all the way until 12 p.m. before finally waking up. Inside the dimly lit room, she opened her eyes, holding a pink panda plushie in her arms. Her outer clothes were neatly folded and placed on a chair nearby. She got up to wash her face and left her room, pushing open the door to your room next door, only to find that it was completely empty inside, with the blankets folded perfectly neat. This bratty brother actually didn't wake me up after getting up. Su Jingyao closed the door and walked downstairs. Lu Zhengguo was currently sitting in front of the sofa, peeling garlic while watching television, looking very much like a house husband. Seeing her come downstairs, he smiled. "You're awake. There is minced pork porridge brewed in the pot. Just heat it up a bit before eating." Su Jingyao walked toward the kitchen and asked, "Where is Xiaoping?" "He went to your grandpa's place with Lan Lan early this morning, saying your grandpa wanted to meet him." Hearing these words, Su Jingyao froze in her tracks. Grandpa wants to meet him. Could it be that our relationship was found out by Grandpa? With that bad temper of his, she instantly couldn't sit still, turning straight around and walking swiftly out the door, dropping a sentence without looking back. "I'm going over to take a look." Lu Zhengguo scratched his head, not understanding why she was in such a big hurry. Could it be that the father-in-law eats people or something? Leaving the house, Su Jingyao drove a Rolls-Royce, speeding quickly toward the outskirts of the city. There were quite a few cars on the road at noon, but even so, the journey that originally took 40 minutes only took Su Jingyao a little over 20 minutes to arrive. Inside the pavilion outside the Bear Woods, Qin Huaishan was leisurely drinking tea and playing gobang with Qin Wanru. At this time, Su Jingyao's figure appeared not far away. Qin Huaishan stood up with joy, smiling like an old urchin. "Jing. Why did you come here? Did you miss your grandpa?" "Where is Lu Chen?" Su Jingyao directly interrupted him, her tone incredibly cold. "About that..." Qin Huaishan instantly began stammering, having absolutely none of the imposing manner he showed before you. It was Qin Wanru who spoke up from the side. "He was driven into the Bear Woods by your grandpa. He said he has to stay inside for a whole day before he is allowed to be together with you. I tried to advise him, but he wouldn't listen." "What, the Bear Woods?" Su Jingyao's beautiful eyes widened, her face instantly turning gloomy. She had grown up in the manor since childhood, so she knew the Bear Woods all too well. Those two black bears were gentle to the Qin family, but that might not be the case for an outsider. Seeing her expression, Qin Huaishan knew in his heart that he had completely messed up this time, and quickly ordered the bodyguards beside him, "Quick, use the pager to call that kid back." The bodyguard did as told, pressing the call button several times in a row, but there was no response. After a good while, he said flusteredly, "Master, I can't contact him. It's highly possible that the pager is damaged." "What?" Qin Huaishan cried out in surprise, his voice faintly trembling. These pagers were all military-grade equipment phased out from the army, and their quality was exceptionally good. Even in a desert with no signal, they could still send out short phrase signals. Normally failing to make contact only had two possibilities. The distance was too far, or the pager was damaged. In the current situation, it clearly belonged to the latter. Xiaopeng met with an accident. Thinking of this, Su Jingyao's face turned deathly pale. Without stopping to think further, she rushed right out of the pavilion and ran toward the bare woods. Xiaopeng, you absolutely cannot have anything happen to you. What are you all still standing around for? Hurry up and go look for him. Qin Huaishan barked fiercely at the bodyguards and called Dr. Wang over too, just in case. Qin Huaishan hurriedly instructed the bodyguards, and after arranging everything, he also walked briskly toward the woods, feeling immense regret in his heart. He originally just wanted to scare you, but didn't expect an accident to actually happen. If anything unfortunate were to happen to you, Jingjing would definitely hate him, her grandpa, to death. Very soon, over a dozen bodyguards armed with tranquilizer guns entered the woods. The woods were not that large, and Su Jingyao, who was the first to rush in, quickly arrived at the central area. As she ran, she shouted all around, "Lu Chen, where are you?" As she kept running, she seemed to hear something, suddenly stopping in her tracks to listen carefully. Then lock on a direction. She walked toward the bushes in the distance. Gradually, the sound of flowing water reached her ears. Parting the bushes, a stream came into view. On the bank, two big black bears were lying down sunbathing, and a figure was lying right on top of their bellies. Noticing the movement, you glanced sideways, and seeing Su Jingyao, you asked in confusion, "Why are you here?" Seeing Su Jingyao, the two black bears got exceptionally excited, immediately scrambling up and circling around her like lapdogs, letting out joyful roars from their mouths. By contrast, you were miserable, falling straight into the stream water and getting completely soaked all over. Before you could even react, you felt a warm body plunge into your embrace. Su Jingyao hugged you tightly, her tearful voice echoing next to your ear. "You idiot! Do you know how worried I was about you? You are not allowed to run off blindly ever again." This time she was truly frightened out of her wits. Fortunately, you were fine. Otherwise, she really wouldn't know what to do. Although you didn't know why she was suddenly so sad, you still gently held her and comforted her softly. "Good girl, I'm right here." The bodyguards who found their way here looked at the two embracing in the stream, exchanging looks with one another, and sensibly turned around to leave. After quite a while, Su Jingyao finally wiped away her tears, let go of you, and interrogated, "How did the pager break? Give me an honest explanation." You shrugged helplessly and pointed toward that pile of parts on the bank. Pouting, "It was stepped on and stopped working because of those two big idiots. I originally wanted to try and fix it, but the result was that it got completely ruined, and I couldn't even piece it back together." The two of you walked it up to the bank. With a gloomy face, Su Jingyao ordered the two black bears, "Xiong Da Xiong Er, get over here and kneel down properly for me." Hearing these names, you had a strange expression on your face. Could it be that these two fellas came from Boonie Bears? The moment Su Jingyao's words fell, the two black bears knelt down obediently, like children who had done something wrong, even blinking their eyes in a very human-like manner, looking completely pitiful and incredibly aggrieved. Su Jingyao looked back at you, sizing you up carefully, and only then did she say, "These two guys don't easily get close to strangers. It should be because the clothes you're wearing have my scent on them, which is why they got close to you." Xiongda and Xiong-er could be counted as her childhood playmates, so they were exceptionally sensitive to her scent. "You guys stay right here. I'll deal with you later." After warning the two bears, Su Jingyao led you, who were completely soaked all over, and walked out of the woods. A dozen minutes later, the two of you walked out of the bare woods. Having received the news, Qin Huaishan saw you come out, turned his head to the side and muttered, "Count yourself lucky, kid." Su Jingyao spoke up, "Grandpa, don't you have anything you want to say to him?" Qin Huaishan held it in for a long time before finally saying, "Can't I just say I'm sorry? Little Jingjing, don't be angry with Grandpa. Besides, isn't he completely fine?" On the side, Qin Wanru let out a soft laugh. "In this family, it's estimated that only Jingjing can keep the old man in check." Afterward, Su Jingyao brought you back to the villa, found a set of clean clothes for you, pushed you into the bathroom, and also went upstairs herself to take a shower. When you came out after finishing your shower, you saw several bodyguards carrying wooden crates and beautifully wrapped gift boxes inside, and loading them into Su Jingyao's car. By the entrance, Qin Huaishan had a look of pure heartache on his face. These were all fine wines and fine teas that he had saved up for several years, things he couldn't even bear to drink himself, and now they were completely gone. Qin Wanru patted her old father's shoulder sympathetically. "I told you a long time ago not to bully Xiaoping, but you just wouldn't listen. In Jingjing's heart, her boyfriend is much more important than her grandpa." After all that commotion, it was already lunchtime. The manor's chef prepared a huge table of dishes, with a taste that didn't lose to a star-rated hotel chef at all. After lunch, Su Jingyao took you around the manor to play while walking the bears, trying out every single facility. She was just like a lively little girl, sharing everything she liked, without reservation with the real you. A day spent playing and having fun quickly passed by. In the evening, the chef prepared an outdoor barbecue, allowing everyone to enjoy delicious food while looking at the night view. Su Jingyao was pulled away by her mom to have some private chat. Xin Huaishan took a bottle of beer, walked over to the lawn beside you and sat down. Gulping down a huge mouthful, he began to talk about the past. It turned out that Su Hongyuan and Qin Wanru being able to get together was entirely arranged by him, the father. He had taken a liking to Su Hongyuan's potential and his non-extreme personality, so he always supported him to become the son-in-law of the Qin family. Facts proved that his judgment was very accurate. Su Hongyuan indeed became a famous entrepreneur in the country, managing a multinational trade group. However, he was not a good father. Over these years, Qin Huaishan felt extremely guilty, believing that it was because of him that Su Jingyao had an unhappy childhood. Therefore, upon learning that you were Jingjing's boyfriend, he treated you so harshly, just out of fear that history would repeat itself. After listening, you felt even more deeply about Su Jingyao's experiences. Although you knew long ago that her childhood wasn't easy, hearing it from Qin Huaishan's own mouth still inevitably made your heart ache. With a serious expression, you promised Qin Huaishan, "Grandpa Qin, please rest assured. I will definitely protect Jingjing well, and absolutely never let her be bullied again. She is the one you and Aunt Qin care about the most. And she's also the most important person in my heart. As long as I still have a breath left in me, I will absolutely never let her suffer any grievances." Xin Huaishan's gaze grew deep, staring intently into your firm eyes. After a long while, he reached out and patted your shoulder. "Stop calling me Grandpa Qin. It sounds so distant. From now on, just like Jingjing, call me Grandpa."